but there's this square like Tommy Cutlets, man. Tommy Cutlets.
What sort of fucking New York City sports radio are you listening to? Where that's the only plausible place on earth anyone is saying that.
Dude,
you want to get the Jersey Turnpike FM?
Mayo Experience.
Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience, presented by DraftKings. Week 14 spread picks, game previews, Omaha Steaks premium picks of the week, Cust Corner, and a whole lot more. You, good people out there, use code MAYO at omahasteaks.com to get an extra $30 off the already 50% off deal going on site-wide at omahasteaks.com. Put in the order now so it shows up by Christmas time, and then people will say, you give great gifts. It's easy as that. You don't have to stop listening to the podcast right now if you don't want to. Just do it on your phone. Super easy stuff. Smash like and sub to the channel while you are here and hit the description and join the Pat Mayo Experience Week 14 DraftKings Listeners League and purchase the runthesims.com prop sniper. Code Mayo gets you 10% off. Get the weekly, cost you $12. Easy stuff. Geoff Fienberg is on the line, but I have to say, it was quite nice to see you in person for the first time in like 8 months.
Yeah, I guess since the Masters, so that probably is around eight months. It was lovely to get to see you in real life and just talk about a variety of issues. It's always nice to catch up because, yes, we pretty much speak every week in the year, but like usually we're just so deep in the forest that we talk enough, but we just, you load up a podcast, we're just ready to do the podcast. That's all. But it's great. I enjoyed it. Garion as well. It was lovely.
Yeah, when was the last time you had seen Garion? Was it the last time we did the Custies in person in Toronto, like 3 years ago?
No, maybe something closer in between. I'm not sure. I tweet with Garion enough. I see his face on the shows enough where it actually doesn't feel like, however long it's been, it doesn't feel that long. The internet's weird like that.
I suppose that's true. It's social media essentially crippled the high school reunion industry, I think.
Yeah, I apologized to a really good friend of mine recently, like almost acknowledging like I'm not keeping in touch with anybody unless you're part of my crew that watches football on Sunday together. Like, like we'll just see each other Sundays in the fall. That's where we catch up. Maybe a kid's birthday party. That's about it. But I apologize. I apologize if I'm not hitting you up at all. Like, I feel like I get interaction on the internet from like strangers that sometimes I consider friends, which takes away from my need for like real interaction at times. But at least maybe it's saying that I can acknowledge it, even though I know it's a flaw.
Well, it's nice.
Self-aware.
Yeah. You have to say you're self-aware. You have to say you're sane because you have an election to win. We all know that. Paul's behind the camera, the coin is in studio, and on the line is his competitor. It is Tim Undergust.
Tim Undergust.
That's not my name.
Fired up for football?
No, not at all. Things have taken a very disastrous turn in a number of ways. None of it makes me happy. I just feel like getting a Big Mac and sitting by myself in a parking lot and eating it.
I have to ask you.
You got numbers.
I had numbers. People were with me on that one. Felt good.
You got numbers.
When watching the Jets offense, I know all their quarterbacks are absolutely horrendous and their offensive line sucks. But how is it that when you watch them and if they get 5 yards on a play, it's like, I don't know how they did that. That's an amazing achievement. Yet every other team with their terrible offensive lines and terrible quarterbacks don't seem like such a disaster. How is that? Is that a Nathaniel Hackett thing? Your guy, Nate Hackett?
I would submit to you that the Patriots and the Steelers are in the exact same boat vis-a-vis inability to do anything without a quarterback. But, it's not just a quarterback. They don't have an offensive line. They can't block. They can't get any time. So it's bad quarterback play mixed with offensive line that has been just devastated by injury. And also bad coach. There's some bad play calls being called. Like if your quarterback is constantly throwing it 2 yards down the field on 3rd and 8, like that's in part a residue of design. It's extremely distressing. The defense, again, played outstandingly to hold an incredibly talented offense last week to 13 of total points. And they still lost the game. They still lost the game. It's distressing. I mean, things are worse for other teams, perhaps, or as bad, but it's not good. Scary.
Watching the Jets offense, Pat, you made an incredible analogy there. I'll take it up a level. Or sorry, I'll turn it into a great analogy. It's like, when you're really struggling in golf, or your buddy, like, he sucks, but any of us, me, when I flush it with like that 6 or 7 iron and it's perfect and it feels perfect and every part of it was perfect, but I don't know how I did it. Like, I'm not really sure how I did it. So I don't know how to do it again. And that's like the Jets when they get a 9-yard play on first down. And then, just like us as amateur golfers, they could still 3-putt from 6 feet and punt without even moving the sticks. It is incredible. And also, you see these other backup quarterbacks at least do something. I've been adamant since day one. I don't know. They had Strevler. I'm curious if Jacksonville will go to Nathan York. If you want 4.5 yards of play, let's Nathan York. I mean it. Chris Strevler. The Jets should have. It's mind-boggling what's gone on there, and now they're an embarrassment. Like the New York
but like every backup,
the New York media is leaking text conversations with the head coach. That is crazy. That is crazy. I mean, there's all this talk. Sometimes we overblow it. We think it was maybe an olden day motto that it's just harder to win in New York. There's more pressure in New York. But I've never seen anywhere else where a person with a prominent position in the media there is then like is sharing private text conversations with the head coach of the NFL team. That is wild.
Not good. Not good.
It was just
4 more games. Let's just get through this damn season.
like, did they call Joe Flacco at some point this season? And he said no, because he looked wildly competent this weekend.
They had Joe Flacco before. Again, the problem is not the quarterback only. It's not just quarterbacking. It's like it's a three-headed monster of absolutely no offensive line play, poor coaching decisions, and bad quarterbacking. No one of those 3 things. You can't just pick up a good backup.
You didn't say number 4. You didn't say number 4, which is, in all fairness, you put the chips in. But Aaron Rodgers, in many ways, in his attempt to come back or keep saying he's coming back, or his desire to bring friends along the way, like, hamstrung this team in ways.
No, I don't want to blame him. I'm not interested in blaming him. That's not where the problem is.
Maybe not indirectly. It's all. I don't know.
This team's going to be successful next season if and only if he plays well. So, like,
if Aaron Rodgers had a friend who was a backup quarterback, you'd be in like a better spot. So I agree. It's all like,
I'm not sure I know what difference it makes. Like, whatever.
You know exactly what difference it makes.
There's no good backup quarterbacks. They're all terrible.
No, but to Pat's point, other guys are coming in there. They get there 3 days before and they just seem competent. Competent, and they can rip the football.
Great.
Like Flacco, yes, in the final, sort of.
Do they have 5 turnstiles in front of them? Like,
well, if you want to use that as an excuse, how come the Giants' offense over like their past 2 games with Tommy DeVito looks competent? They can move the ball now. They're in a worse
offensive coach.
They're in a worse offensive line position than the Jets are, and they have some guy named Tommy DeVito playing.
Because the Giants have an absolute genius coaching their offense in terms of their head coach.
So it's a coaching.
Just
team.
like Saleh has done a fantastic job with the defense. This Jets defense is stupendous, despite being on the field constantly. The people they brought in charge of the offense haven't been able to run anything. So it's a consistent problem. So yeah, coaching is a huge part of this. Giants have a massive advantage at the coaching position. It'd be foolish not to say so.
Is everyone just going to be fired? Can you do that? Like, is Saleh gone, or does everyone getting hurt just buy him more time?
No, I think he's going to go. His defensive coordinator might stay only because the team has done a good job defensively, but he's going to go. I assume that Hackett's probably going to go. And but I would also want AR to have some input on this too. I mean, he's coming back.
Yeah, his decision.
I want his input too.
Yeah, well, let's get some more Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, but
Here are some more cronies we can sign.
We've decided that he is going to call the tune this year or next year. So if you're all in on that, then you want his input and advice and guidance too. And whatever he wants, I'm fine with.
So Nate Hackett stays.
It's his team next year anyway. If that's what he wants, he'll just be the offensive coordinator on the field. And if he gets hurt again, well, then like, what's the difference? Then the team's just going to be terrible. So,
I mean, to Tim's point, there are a lot of plays where it looks like there's like no chance. Doesn't matter who's a quarterback there. Sure, if Josh Allen was the quarterback of the Jets, a play would be extended. But for the most part,
hopeless.
Like if you actually sit, like you replay the Jets games in your head, you watch a lot of them, you're like, yeah, I don't think insert shitty backup here who's having marginal success other. I don't think they'd be able to do that here. Maybe that's Tim being an apologist for his team, and maybe I'm an apologist for Tim, but I don't know. It's tough. You wish they seemed to have had a better plan though, period.
Well,
you would hope so, but here we are. So
or to think on their feet, or I guess what Pat's saying, like to have been, once everything unfolded, you just see things. You're seeing you've seen a lot of things happen. Like the Jets just sat on their hands the whole time.
Well, I guess it's all about next year, I suppose. That's really the only card they have left in the deck to play.
It is nice that you have lived long enough, though, to see the Patriots become the Jets.
Oh, that does make me extremely happy. If there's a silver lining to the dark cloud, it's that the Patriots are awful. And they're like, oh, but they're going to have the first or second pick. And it's like, I'm sorry. Are you people been on Mars? Who's a worse drafter in the last 10 years than Bill Belichick?
The Jets?
I would submit. I don't know that there's anyone who's as bad as Bill Belichick.
Okay, you can still get it wrong at the very top.
And he does constantly, all the time. In every case.
At the very, very top, it can still be gotten wrong. But sometimes the picks are just so obvious where you're not picking between a pool of like X for this random position. I don't want to say random position. It's like to take a lot of like third round linemen in the first. I will beg to differ, Tim.
Okay. You think
if you're a Patriots fan, if you're a Patriots fan and this guy's swan song to you is that you get a pick that can get you one of these quarterbacks, that is like, well, were disappointed in the moment. And like me, I was wrong. I thought this team would be a 6-7 win football team. Like at its floor, I was wrong. Tim was right. I was wrong. But the gift from heaven that they're being given in their one shitty year, like they're going to lose so proper and you are going to be so screwed. You're about to spend you're about to spend a winter in a pretzel. Because
it's a monkey's paw situation because Bill has to make the pick.
Dolphins are losing to anybody in the AFC despite having not beaten a good team. And the Patriots are drafting a top quarterback.
Yeah,
I think the season is so bad for the Jets in so many ways, and for you. And you can spin it however you want.
For as bad as these first-round picks have been for the Patriots, I think they've had one top 10 pick in the Bill Belichick era, and that guy was a Hall of Famer. So now they get another.
Let's see how he does.
Is that Seymour? Who was anything?
That? Yeah, it was Richard Seymour.
Yeah, 20 some odd years ago.
Sure, that was the last time they had a top 10 pick.
Fair enough, but this is a monkey's paw situation where you get a great pick, but Bill has to make it. And if history teaches us anything, he'll make a bad pick.
You think that having the 11th pick is good?
Well, I would be delighted with the 11th pick
now.
They got
Becky
coming my way. I'm getting like 5. Are you kidding me?
They got Becky with the 11th pick. Remember when he pushed that car up the hill, Geoff? He's great.
I've decided I'd like to have Marvin Harrison Jr. on the other side of.
You're gonna need. He's the first non-quarterback being drafted.
I think there's a real chance that we may be able to actually make that pick and put him next to Wilson. Rodgers is healthy. At least you give your team a chance.
Next to Wilson? Right? Oh, Garrett. Sorry.
Yeah, Garrett on one side. Like at least you give your team a chance.
No, Marv Jr. is like for sure the first non-quarterback being picked.
I would think so. So give yourself an opportunity anyway.
Who was the Jets quarterback who threw that Hail Mary that connected against the Raiders to get them out of the 1 pick, so they had to draft Zach Wilson instead of Trevi?
No, that was Greg Williams lost it for them, right?
Yeah. The Jets lost that game.
Oh,
it went all blitz versus the Raiders. Or something.
No, they beat the Rams later in the year, but it wasn't on a Hail Mary or anything.
Oh, that's right. So who was the quarterback for those games? Was it
I don't know.
Darnold?
So you're saying, so instead of having our quarterback get injured for the year on opening night, we get our quarterback injured for the year later on in the year? Like, where ahead would we be?
So you think that the Jets' fortunes would be the exact same if they had drafted Trevor Lawrence instead of Zach Wilson, is what you're saying?
And I feel like, yeah, the Jets would have ruined him. So, yeah,
Okay.
probably.
What'd it take?
Not
can
sure,
I cry
I'm
for a
actually not
moment?
sure
No.
there'd be much of a difference.
And
think
I
they
just
would've
got to
ruined them.
say, it is so, like, to my core, I'm humbled. I'm embarrassed. I'm
Good.
disgusted. This doesn't even have to do with what happened on Sunday at 1:00. It has to do what happened as part of these primetime telecasts. When it is like week 12 or whatever, and you see these logos when they put up in the hunt, and it is the Houston Texans, it is the Indianapolis Colts. It is no disrespect to those teams, but even all of their fan bases probably can't believe it. And my pathetic ass team can't even be good enough. Like, we don't I'm not saying they deserve to be in the graphic and aren't included. I mean that we're so far off the landscape that we're not even in, like, being built for Chiron, for in the hunt. It is such a indictment of everything. Yeah.
Yeah, things are not a whole lot better for you than they are.
Probably
for me.
worse. Mike, probably worse.
I don't know
because-
if they're worse, but they're
No,
bad.
I think
Like,
your fix might be harder to come by, but it's quicker. If somehow you get a spark, if somehow Rodgers plays healthy, if somehow you actually have the 14th best quarterback in the league, that will do, you will have a better chance of going farther than how defunct of talent the Chargers are.
Yeah, that's fair.
You know, you could debate, like, if you want to be fair and reasonable, like, you have the Chargers have a really good quarterback. They have a really good quarterback who, once again, puts the ball in a fucking dime, and everyone drops it to make plays that, even to make it 9-0, I could sit down for 1 minute. Just if it's 9-0, I can sit down for a minute. But
he
all
wasn't
these
very
losers-
good on. He wasn't very good on Sunday. I watched that game. He
No,
wasn't.
it was a
very good.
sideways rain pouring, but we had 6 drops. Another 6 drops, like perfect passes, Tim.
Yes,
Like
that's true.
perfect
They're not
passes.
helping him.
But don't
They're
get
not
me
helping
wrong.
him.
Don't get me wrong. We come out of the locker room at halftime, and it's 3 straight passes to nobody. And it reminds me of playing back in the day, playing baseball with your buddy who, you know, like, you're all joking on the bench. He gets up to the plate. 3 pitches later, he's swinging. He can't resist anything. 3 pitches later, whiff, whiff, whiff. We're back on the bench. Like, I am not. Yeah, there's a lot of problems, but, you know, how many perfect passes can you throw that don't get caught? Like, it's incredible. I don't know what they're gonna do. I don't know what they're gonna do. Eckler's a pig. He is a pig. He's a pig.
Well, I don't.
We put incentive nibbles in front of him just to end the contract dispute, like the most easily attainable incentives. The literally thing you only had to do to not obtain the money that we're trying to give you was going to pig mode.
I did want
This has
to.
been a very useful therapy session for both of us, but I think our session is over. We'll have to resume this later.
It's not over yet because we still have to talk about these teams this week. I did want to pour one out. There was a trade on Live today, Tim, if you didn't see it, but there's also a Live qualifier. And Victor Dubasson was supposed to be in it, but like he has done for most tournaments over the past 5 years, he has withdrawn and retired from golf.
Well, I don't think he's ever retired from golf before.
I don't understand. He, like, flew to Dubai to withdraw.
I don't know. He withdrew and then he said he was retired. He still has great hair, though.
You know, Pat, he's a legend because, like, the deep insiders know that, like, the week of those cactus shots, like, that's pretty much the first week we ever met or spoke. Like, at least that's the first week we ever talked golf.
It is. We did a Dove Mountain preview show. That was one of the very first shows that.
No. That was, like, off air. That was, like,
was
just
it?
off air. Like our boss, like, literally introduced me to you the week of Dove Mountain, and we spoke about it for a bit.
Yeah, that would have been
Well, I
2014.
think Carlos Ortiz is probably going to be good for Torque.
But I don't understand. Will Rahm be a fireball?
I don't know. He's going to get his own team, apparently, if that's true.
He ought to get his own. They have spaces for extra teams right now.
Hold on. The same account that said that Rahm is for sure leaving is the same account that said that Tiger got drunk and crashed his yacht on the way home, which was also not true. So
Yeah,
I
unfollowed that. I unfollowed that account.
You unfollowed that account because that account literally used derogatory slurs towards me.
really?
I didn't know that, but that's another reason, of course, to nothing to do with that account.
Yeah, no, that is not a real account. That is not. But I don't. The Rahm stuff is coming from a lot more places now, and just on the Rahm stuff, like, I mean, I'd have bet an arm the Chargers be better than the Texans and the Colts, so I don't want to go around betting arms, but the type of like loser, no name, nothing accounts that John Rahm retweeted, quote tweeted, angrily telling them they're full of shit and they know nothing on the previous like 2 live rumor iterations. For him to like have nothing to say about this one makes me like think he's 150% gone, and like Cantley and Xander gotta be like whispering behind, like in his tailwind are those two.
Well,
if Rahm goes, it opens the floodgates.
Well,
that's kind of it. The
It just changes everything. Everything.
I don't
disrespect.
I don't know.
Brooks,
Hold on.
everything.
I don't know if it opens the floodgates because how many more people do they need? I mean, less. Like, do you really need Cantley and Xander? Honestly, just stick the PGA Tour is floundering with them. Just keep them there.
Well, no one needs
Cantley. Wants as many as possible.
No
because
one
you bring those guys.
Cantley.
You bring in enough of these guys, and it's a critical mass where you're forced to give that tour official world golf ranking points.
No one needs Cantley. No one needs that psychopath at all. Literally.
I'm just saying,
like,
Liv has every incentive to bring in people to force official world golf ranking points, and in fact, force the PGA to want them to have it.
No, you're asking for trouble if you do business with Patrick Cantley. This is a man who got married the day after the Ryder Cup. You cannot trust this man. As family, you can't trust this man. And as a teammate, you cannot trust this man. You cannot. That is the craziest thing I've ever heard. He's all in on nothing.
Well, we
but
will
himself.
We'll do a golf breakdown show sometime in the next 2 weeks because we got to talk rollbacks, Tiger back, Rahm to live, maybe more people to live trades. What the hell is going on in golf? But people are here for football.
There'll be no rollback at live. That's for
and
sure.
You can't
they
do
won't be
fantasy.
using the rollback balls there.
I'm just trying to fucking move on.
You can't do the fantasy golf content because you don't know who's even going to be on the PGA yet. So you can't draft.
It's true. Thanks. All right. So I ended up, because I was on a plane for the first set of games, I was able to get 4 screens going on a plane. So that was nice. Geoff, you were down to 1 screen this week. And Tim, you said you went to your parents' house and you got to watch the AFC 1 seed Miami Dolphins all day?
Yeah, I had to. Well, I needed somewhere to watch the ticket, and I knew that they have it. But can I just say, I am now so accustomed to 8 screens at once that I can't go back to the 1 screen on a football Sunday. I thoroughly encourage all of you out there to get 8 screens and have the opportunity to watch games the way that we've been watching them, because it makes all the difference. Even like 4 or 5, like to have one and flip back and forth, you're never really into any of the games. And yes, I watched an unreasonable amount of Dolphins football this Sunday, and it was very annoying. And like every duck that Tua threw, I had to sit there and pretend, listen as if, oh, these are great throws, and this team is looking great. Like the fact that everybody puts up a bunch of points on Washington. I'm not so sure why I should be impressed that Miami scored a bunch of points against Washington. Like, who doesn't do that? Great. Whatever. That thing was out too, and I don't like that thing. That
seasonally appropriate.
Yeah, it is seasonally appropriate. We had a great meme for if the Jets beat the Dolphins involving that snowman, that maybe we can use it later in the year if it happens, but if not, I guess we'll hold it for whenever, or someday in the future it does happen. Yeah, it was frustrating. I watched a lot of that Dolphins-Washington game. Commanders' defenses. I mean, firing Jack Del Rio didn't solve any problems, that's for sure. Still can't cover anybody.
That's a horrible matchup for them.
I can't
They're
wait till the
worst
Jets play. I
second.
can't wait to see what happens when the Jets play them in 3 weeks. Like, I don't know what happens when a movable force hits a stoppable object. That is what is going to happen on December 24th.
Last week, I was 7-5.
Impressed by the Dolphins. Impressed at all. Oh, well, they scored a bunch of points. That's a real impressive team. Yeah. Okay.
If you're not worried,
No one even brought up that they were impressive. I just asked if you watched them.
I'm extremely worried. Okay.
Okay.
I'm extremely worried because they don't play anybody good for a while.
Don't they
They
play
play the
Dallas soon?
Cowboys and the Bills. They play the Cowboys on Christmas Eve, and they play the Buffalo on the last week of the season.
And
That's it.
Is your dad talking Vegas or what?
Oh, don't even. Yeah, I've heard it.
Will you go
You
with
know,
them?
you know, what do you?
You should
No,
go with your dad to
I won't go.
Vegas.
I can't. I
You
cannot.
gotta support him.
To go watch the Super Bowl, you wouldn't go with your dad? Come on.
You wouldn't
Not to-
support your dad.
The saddest thing was when we flipped it over to the Jets game. He was like cheering for the Jets, and like
So he was being nice.
out of pity for me, he's like, "Oh, come on, make that catch! Come on, they got to do something."
He's trying to connect
I was
with
like,
you, and you
"Fuck
won't even go to
you."
the Super Bowl with him if they get there.
I can't know. He doesn't have any idea how much it would cost to go to the Super Bowl, and I didn't want to break it to him.
Do you know that he doesn't know how much it would cost?
He doesn't.
Or are you just projecting onto that you didn't know how much it cost?
There's no way he understands how much it would cost because the way you guys described it to me, it wouldn't be in the realm of things. That's a lot of money.
Whatever. Maybe someone we'll worry about that after.
I can't have that. Can't have it. Can't have it happen.
Maybe we could do like a GoFundMe with the show. Send Tim.
No,
and his
I don't
dad
want to.
see the
No,
Dolphins
that's
in the
terrible.
Super
That's
Bowl.
terrible. That's terrible.
I'm
I
all
don't
for
want
it.
to go.
Yeah, me too.
I wouldn't. You will never see a less pleasant person in Las Vegas than me. Be like,
We could do, Tim. Do you know how much money you could raise? Could offer like some trip where they come out to golf with you guys. Like, I'm telling you, some fundraiser. Get Tim and his
I don't
dad
want-
to the Super Bowl.
I don't even know what emotionally how I would even be if the Dolphins were in the Super Bowl. Like, I just don't know. It would be very distressing.
But you're starting to think about that distressing feeling, right?
Yes, it looks like they're gonna, despite being a middle of the road team in terms of their talent, I think they're gonna end up being the 1 seed. They have a
So
great
then,
shot
and
at
then
it now.
look at the quarterback they would play. Look at those wild card team quarterbacks.
It's
And
yeah,
then they're
yeah,
at home. They wouldn't even have to play in bad weather, Tim.
I know. I need Patrick Mahomes. He's my only hope.
No, the Ravens. The Ravens play them. You need the Ravens to win that head-to-head game.
That would be great too.
So
That
the
was-
so you just
I
said
don't
the
know.
Dolphins don't play anyone, but they play the Ravens, Cowboys, and Bills?
I did not realize they played the Ravens. I knew they had the Bills and Cowboys. I did not know that they had the Ravens too.
Are you just making that up, Jeff?
I mean, they play the Jets next week
Oh yeah, they play
Then
they play the Ravens in week 17.
on
Yeah,
New Year's
good.
Eve. They
Phew.
play the Ravens.
Whew,
Yeah,
reputation
yeah, they
saved.
finish. They go Titans, Jets, Cowboys, Ravens, Bills.
Calling the Bills a tough game at this point in the season may be a stretch.
Oh, the team that
It's
won
not in
last
Buffalo,
the,
is
the
it?
team that won
it's in Miami.
last week. The team
But
that actually
Paul-
won last week was Buffalo. Buffalo had the perfect bye week. Things could not have broken better for the Buffalo Bills last week.
I don't know. I go through the playoff machine and really not much has changed. They
Yeah, they
basically have
still-
to like win out.
Yeah, they still only have a 20%.
They can go
chance to
4
make
and
the
1,
playoffs.
but they need like a few things to break right during that 4-1 to get the 7th
there-
seed.
I'm not asking for anyone. I'm not asking for myself, I promise. If you get to 10 wins, do you get in the playoffs for sure?
No.
I think that you do in the AFC. Just because I don't think that a lot of these teams are all that good. Like, we just even saw it with Jacksonville. I know Lawrence ended up getting hurt, but that was far more of a game when he was still in it. He got hurt towards the end of the game. You think that Jacksonville is 8.5-point favorites, would just run train over the Bengals, and they couldn't. And from what we've seen with the Chiefs, like, the Chiefs are still the favorites right now to win the AFC, and they're a deeply flawed team. Like, there's no one team that's all that great in the AFC. Therefore, they can kind of, like, Indy could lose to anyone. Houston could lose this week to the Jets. Who knows? But if you get to 10 wins, I think you're probably pretty good. And now I know that
Particularly if your team has 5 games left against the AFC, for example, Jeffrey. Those would
If
be
you-
all AFC wins, and that would help you.
if you, let's say you like the Bills to beat the Chiefs, does that mean you should also like maybe make a little Bills to win the Super Bowl bet, or that's like the dumbest comment ever?
I think I brought it up, 3-4 weeks ago now, that this Bills team could end up being like that Packers team that won the Super Bowl, that they get all the breaks towards the end of the season, get the very last seed, and all of a sudden they get a little bit healthier at the right time, and like Rodgers went into God mode that year, and that could happen to Josh Allen could have a Joe Flacco type run through the playoffs. That's not inconceivable. The hardest part for them now is actually to get into the playoffs.
I don't completely buy that, because that year the Packers did not face an opponent in the playoffs or had a potential to face a team in the playoffs like San Francisco. Like the Dolphins, who have a top tier offense, despite I think being a mediocre team, or the Chiefs, or the Ravens. Like, I just think the competition's harder than that Packers team had to go through.
That Packers team played Arizona, Atlanta, and I don't remember who they played in the
They
conference
beat
final.
Chicago, who had backups in at quarterback.
Oh,
that
was
was
their.
but they went into New York and beat the Giants, though, and the Giants were the 1 seed, weren't they?
I don't think so. I don't,
because they were the 6 seed. They beat Arizona. Was that the stupid Arizona game where they won in like overtime, or was that the year that Arizona went to the Super Bowl?
Arizona won that game.
Yeah, was that the year that Arizona went to the Super Bowl? Yeah, I feel like they beat Eli Manning in New York. Maybe I have that completely backwards. But
but I feel like they beat Atlanta, because I had a big prop on Rodgers touchdowns that day, and it was my wife's friend's birthday, so I had to go to a party.
No, they beat.
It was a Saturday night.
Philadelphia. Then they beat Atlanta.
Yeah,
and then
that's
they
the
beat
game I'm talking
Chicago.
about.
And then
I got a
Pittsburgh.
flat tire on my way on that Saturday night where they beat Atlanta, and he had 3 touchdowns maybe in the first half. He killed it.
Yeah, he went into God mode as soon as the playoffs started, and their defense was good enough, and that's all that really mattered. That he played his 4 like best games, his A+ games, and the defense just gave a C effort, and that's good enough sometimes when you have one of these like all-time quarterbacks. I don't know if Josh Allen is there, but it seems like he has the ceiling. Whether it's sustainable or not, I don't know. But what are their odds right now? They're still like not outrageous, which is the crappy part. Like if they were 100 to 1, not 20 to 1 to win the AFC, then it's worth a few bucks. Go ahead.
If they were in the NFC, their odds would probably be so much bigger. But to your point, Pat, like the best team in the AFC, granted the Chiefs are the top of the mountain, is a division rival who, like, if they meet in the playoffs, granted the Dolphins would be home and favorite, it'd still be.
You know what? I don't know, because in that scenario, if they ended up playing Miami in the first round of the playoffs, that means they would have beaten Miami twice this year, because the only way they can get in is to win all these games, and that would include beating Miami again. So they'd be 2-0 against Miami
I'm less convinced by that. I look at teams like Cleveland and Indianapolis and Houston, and I see so many losses coming for a lot of those AFC teams. I'm not so sure they need to win out. In fact, I'm almost convinced that they don't. I'm not even sure you need 10 wins given the lackluster. Yeah,
but they do, because they have some critical AFC tiebreak losses. Like they lost to Denver. Like that's a really bad one for them.
But Tim, also look at the AFC this week. There's so many head-to-heads where all the teams you think would lose, like 4 of them are playing each other. Like Cleveland versus
Jacksonville.
And who's Pittsburgh playing?
Pittsburgh plays New England.
New England. They're probably going to lose on Thursday night.
Yeah, and Indy's playing Cincy. So
I'm leaning towards the Patriots.
There's guaranteed wins in the playoff race coming because there's so many head-to-head games.
That's right, but they get the Chiefs, they get the Dolphins. Those are AFC wins that will help. And of course, head-to-heads don't matter.
And those
when
games
you're tied
don't really
with
matter.
4 teams. But when you're tied with 3 or 4 teams, head-to-head don't matter anymore.
Oh, but
it's AFC conference record that matters.
The Miami game and even the Chiefs game, in terms of them actually getting into the playoffs, like it doesn't really matter because those teams
are
are
AFC wins.
Those teams are
crucial.
But those teams are so far ahead that like you're not knocking one of them out.
No, Paul, but you're acquiring an AFC win, which is essential.
Run the simulator. I'm telling you, man, like they're not getting in with less than 10 wins. I tried. I tried to get them in there. And trust me, they need at the very least they need 10 wins. That's why I think if you're actually going to bet them to make to make the playoffs, I think you'd probably be better to like just roll over their money lines every single week. Mathematically,
I would encourage that
because I think I saw like plus 400 to make make the playoffs.
Yeah, and they're
Tim,
they have a perfect spot game this week, a perfect spot game against Dallas next week. Like
I don't like the sounds of that.
I'm just
They
saying,
have the widow.
they have
they
the Chargers on a Saturday, which is a rollover.
No, they have the widow. They have like a widowmaker spot for that Charger game or something.
They play on a Saturday.
And the Chargers play on the Thursday.
Yeah, the Chargers play on a Thursday, and so like they get a little extra rest, but that's not huge.
But Tim, you've got to respect Paul putting in.
Hold on.
Generator reps.
Hold on. I want to backtrack a second. That extra rest, just a little rest.
It's not the Widowmaker.
You were complaining
No, it isn't
earlier.
the Widowmaker.
Hold on. You were complaining earlier this year that a team played at 4 p.m. when the Jets had to play at 1 p.m. And that was the big difference.
Yeah, I'm allowed to whine about that, but I'm also not saying it's the biggest disadvantage possible, which is what the Widowmaker is. Which is making a point there.
Because the game is on Saturday, it's quasi Widowmaker.
You think? I don't know.
Oh no, the Chargers aren't off a bye; they're just off a Thursday. But
and going into Buffalo on a ice cold Saturday night, where the
game's in LA.
On the line. Great, then it's going to be 100 million Bills fans there. Is that game in LA really?
Yeah, it is because I might go. Well, I'm going to be in San Diego.
Oh, Geoff!
I told my nephew the only way I'll go to that game is if the Chargers are 7-7. It is the only way I'll go to that game. I'd rather do anything else in the world. I'll buy them off. We'll go to we'll have fun, but I'm not. Other than the fact it's a Peacock game, and I don't know who's going to be able to watch it.
Bills fans are not traveling for that game. They're not traveling for this team anymore either. My buddy has season tickets and is struggling to sell them at face value on game day. Like
might the Chargers have home field advantage then? Buffalo's such a small town then, and no one's traveling.
No, there's enough. Trust me, they won't. They wouldn't. Do you remember that Bills-Rams game a couple years ago?
Opening night, of course. Rampede.
Oh, yeah.
How could I forget?
Yeah.
Let's recap last week, now that we're a few minutes into the show. Yeah. I was 7-5, and so were you, Tim. Geoff was 5-7, and the coin was 6-6. That evens out a three-way tie in the spread picks between myself, Geoff, and the coin at 192. You now have the inverse at 92 and 100. So you're very much in this with 4 weeks to go.
I told you, folks, I'm not competing against you anymore. I'm competing against 500. That's the only goal here. Get one game over 500 in the last 5 weeks.
And you're 180, 90. You're 92 and 100.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I need to, be +2 basically, going forward.
Are all
strong?
Are all Survivor leagues now officially done? I know that there's probably a few lingering out there, but I saw the big DraftKings Sportsbook one ended this week.
The Circa one has like 30 people left.
The Circa one has 30 people. Jacksonville took down a lot. Detroit the week before and Jacksonville this week, basically.
This week, killed
Pittsburgh
people.
ended me. It left in a big one.
Yeah, Pittsburgh, Kansas City, and Jacksonville realistically took out a lot of people.
If you got through week 13, you're about to make a whole bunch of money, basically.
Yeah, I mean, in hindsight, the highest spreads I had to choose from were Pittsburgh and Tampa. So I'm an idiot. I picked Pittsburgh. Pat, you told me to trust Tampa.
Well.
But by Sunday,
so bad in that game. Oh my goodness! I haven't watched a lot of that game. That Tampa team is so bad. Oh my goodness!
That game went as low as 3.5 points. So then, by the point spread metric, Pittsburgh was my best option by a field goal or two.
You're right.
Yeah. Tampa was terrible. But here's the thing: you watched a lot of Atlanta too. Atlanta also really bad.
Oh yeah, but that Jets defense really played phenomenal.
But they're this bad every week.
Well, thankfully, we get to see those two teams in fisticuffs this week. I like the Falcons' chances.
Of course you do. How couldn't you? The teaser lost because it had Jacksonville and Kansas City. And I was the only one who won a super lock. Geoff pushed his super lock. Tim lost his super lock. But Detroit, after jumping out to a 21-0 lead, barely held on to cover the game at -4 in New Orleans. So that brings me to 8-5. And taking the lead in the Omaha Stakes premium picks. Geoff, with his second push of the year, is 5-6, and Tim is now 7-6, one game behind me. So it's coming down to the wire. That's still anyone's game with 4 weeks to go. And if there is a tie, then we roll it over into the playoffs to determine who is going to win that. Let's jump into the games. New England at Pittsburgh on Thursday Night Football. The total is 30. The spread is 6. And Mitch Trubisky is playing quarterback against Bailey Zappi. This is going to be a whole lot of fun. I looked at, there was a weather report that came out, so shout out to Guy who put it out, whose name I will find here in a moment once I starred the tweet so I could go back and look at it. Apparently it's just going to be cold, windy, and rainy in most of America outside on Sunday this week, and including Thursday night, where that one is just down 5 points from the opener in terms of the total. But if you look at a lot of the totals this week, they're all way down. It was Josh Inglis who put this out. The Baltimore total is down 2 points already. The Chicago total's down 5 points. Yes, Paul.
Oh, sorry. I didn't want to interrupt you right in the middle of the sentence. But when I made the graphics this morning and then I updated them, like 5-6 hours later, right before we go on the show, I was just like, man, a lot of these totals have moved like 2 points. Now it all makes sense.
Cleveland is down. Jacksonville and Cleveland is down. I mean, that's injury related too, but that's down 6 points in terms of the total, and 5.5 points in Houston and the Jets, all calling for rain and all calling for 20-mile-per-hour winds in those games. So, Tambo and I will talk about it on the DraftKings show, but just maybe stack teams that play indoors this week. Maybe that's a way that you can try to get around some of this weather. But for this game, Tim, you like the Patriots?
Yeah, I am freed from the shackles of having to pick Pittsburgh every week against the spread because they finally didn't cover. And Mitch Trubisky is so awful that game was effectively completely over the second that Pickett went down. And that is precisely what happened. Arizona is, slightly better than the Patriots, but not by a whole lot. This over-under is 30. You can't lay 6 points into a 30-point spread total. If you want to just not take the game, that's fine. If you kind of lean Steelers, you can't bet the Steelers -6 into 30. I understand the Patriots have lost 3 games in a row despite giving up 10 points or fewer in all of those games. But like the Steelers are I can't lay 6 points with them with Mitch Trubisky. I think the Patriots have every opportunity to win this game. I'm not going to watch it at all. I discourage you from watching it again. You don't need to give the NFL's eyeballs to this. This last week, there were 3 fantastic primetime games. You were treated this week to all the games on primetime. It was a lot of fun. This week, you don't have to watch this one. They haven't earned that. Don't watch it. Pick the Patriots and don't watch it. You don't want to see that.
I posed this question to Kevin Cole on Monday morning, Geoff, that maybe the Steelers are secret sharp. Maybe not as sharp as you, because you can't hold babies. But they have 2 quarterbacks who are exactly the same. They both just have 2 shitty quarterbacks. So I don't find their offense changes really at all once Pickett comes out of the game. Like, he's not... Maybe he's marginally better than Trubisky, but not by much. If Pittsburgh gets to 10 points, they probably cover the spread. I'm going to take Pittsburgh.
If they get to 10 points, maybe they probably do cover the spread. But I'm getting 5 points with a team that hasn't given up more than 10 points. I'm getting 6 points with a team that hasn't given up more than 10 points in 3 straight games. If the Patriots, when they got to fringe field goal range or field goal range actually, then implemented the Service Academy offense that had they implemented it, they probably win the football game. I think it would be good. Like, the moment you get to fringe field goal range, stop dropping back and getting sacked out of field goal range.
Can't do it.
They cannot do it. They cannot do it. Shout out to Tim's powers works in different ways. The shit show's been a shit show, but
but now he's on them. He should really be picking against them here.
Yeah, but I just wanted to give Tim credit. I think Khalil Mack's like 1st or 2nd in the league in sacks.
And they all came against Aiden O'Connell and Bailey Zappi.
Like half of them. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. He's probably the team MVP this year. Sad.
Sad.
I'm taking the 6 points. This is the weirdest, ugliest, shittiest game. Maybe I will follow Tim's lead, but I love watching shitty football too much.
Well, this will be a throwback. I mean, Tim, you love 1970s football, and you even have a player starting at running back for the Patriots from 1976, Ezekiel Elliott.
I like good, hard-nosed defensive football when it's well played. But neither of these teams can muster any offense. Not, I mean, Trubisky is significantly worse than Pickett. Pickett's got a spark at times.
Pickett doesn't have a spark.
He does.
Pickett is
He just
terrible.
does.
He has little mini Carney hands and he sucks.
That doesn't matter. So does that doesn't matter. So does Jared Goff. He's having a fantastic.
Maybe they hid Malik Cunningham from the Chargers because this like Steelers game is more important to the Patriots.
Or maybe
But
he's,
they have to use that guy.
or maybe he's not good.
Just
Well,
to run the
Bailey
ball,
Zappe's no good.
Wildcat. Like, just run it.
The Lions of the Patriots are bad. It's that Bill Belichick has done the worst coaching job of anyone in the league the last couple of years in a row now.
Maybe this one's on purpose.
Just sure, if you want to spin for him, sure. He's done a bad job coaching for several years in a row now, and that makes me happy. But I don't need to see this game. I don't want to watch this trash.
2 years ago, we took Mac Jones into the playoffs. How many games did they win last year?
5, 6. No, that's not true. They had a chance in the last week of the season to make the playoffs. I think they won 9 games last year.
Yeah, and it felt like they should have won 4. So we probably did a great job last year.
Are you kidding me? They would have made the playoffs if they didn't have a defensive coordinator calling the offensive plays last year.
Okay,
Think what they could have done with
games.
a real play caller. Think what they could have done with a real play caller.
This is like the 1 year. This is the 1 year. This is a 1 year where every time Grandpa got in a car, it ends up getting smashed. And guess what?
Okay, but let's follow your analogy. Does Grandpa ever get better?
Grandpa's gaming the system so hard that insurance is about to hook them a brand new luxury SUV that you.
And what will Grandpa do with that?
Does
Grandpa ever get better?
So what you're saying is that Grandpa drove the beater into the ground. Now insurance is just paying him out full.
Yeah, and they're gonna be at the top of the board.
Great, which they'll make a mistake with.
I would be losing my mind. Like, I would be losing my mind. I don't know what sort of front you're putting up here, but the Dolphins are going to the Super Bowl and the Patriots are drafting in the top 2. I'd be losing my mind.
It's not good. It's not good.
So you two
it's not a good place to be in.
Paul?
The way Tim's been going on about this, it's like I can pretty much guarantee whoever the Patriots draft at quarterback is going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer, and he's going to make mine and his life a living hell for like the next 15 years. Guaranteed.
Yeah, and he's going to call him a CFLer like 4 minutes after he's
definitely.
drafted.
Oh, I didn't like that guy in college. Like, how many of that guy's college games did you watch?
Oh, I saw a 3-minute YouTube reel called
I hope it's Caleb Williams.
This
because
guy's
I watched
worst
him play
plays.
against Notre Dame throw 6 interceptions or whatever.
Okay. Sunday, Detroit and Chicago. This is one of the games that's seen its total squashed at this point. The Bears are 3-point dogs at home. 40.5 is the over-under. You got the Lions. It looked like they finally had gotten back on track in New Orleans, and then shit hit the fan, and then New Orleans started coming back in that game with Jameis and Taysom Hill, and they basically put Derek Carr into a wheelchair, and somehow that led to more points for the Saints. Like, the Saints had a real chance to win that game, and then Jameis just made a terrible throw on 4th and 6, and that was the end of it. And Goff made a really nice play to essentially ice the game. It was a really nice pass on that little crossing route. But I don't know. Is Detroit? They're 9-3 right now. What do you think, Geoff, that they finish the year at record-wise?
Okay, so at Bears, home to Broncos.
Don't even worry about who they're playing. Just the general vibe. Doesn't it feel like they can almost lose to anyone any week now?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a 3-point game versus the Bears. I get it's on the road. I get it's outdoors, but this is like Vegas knows. Like, I'm not betting Detroit, although it seems like it should be easy. But maybe it's the Goff cold weather narrative. Yeah, they could beat, and they're like the opposite Chargers. They could lose to anybody, but they beat everybody instead. Like, they do, except the Chargers could beat everybody. They just lose to everybody instead, including the Lions. But yeah, it's the Lions, like, everything's going to be they've made their progress. They're going to go to the playoffs, but is it bad to say, like, we don't take them seriously anymore, right?
I don't.
They're going to have to beat Dallas or something like they had Dallas a couple weeks. They're going to have to win a big game.
San Fran, Dallas, Philly are just seem so good that it's hard to take Detroit serious. I mean, serious in terms of winning the conference. Like,
I
that's,
agree.
Yeah.
Well, the
I
coin
don't
like
think serious anymore.
the coin like Chicago +3. I think I like Chicago +3 too.
Me
I
too.
do. Chicago had them on the ropes 2 weeks ago, and it took, or 3 weeks ago, and it took quite an impressive flurry of comeback effort for the Lions to pull that game out. And Bears coming off a bye. I like the way they're playing. The Bears continue to be shown on that in the hunt graphic on Sunday Night Football too, which is sort of terrifying because they have a really soft schedule, but I just don't think they have the horses to get there. But I kind of like Chicago in this game, I have to say.
What do you mean they have? Hold on. What do you mean that they have a soft schedule? They play your mighty Falcons later on in the season.
Compared to other teams, like to ask the Bears to win out, I don't think it's the craziest thing, although I would predict more than a 5% chance of that. But I don't mind them in this spot. I think this is a great spot for the Bears. I actually thought I would be getting more points than this. If we were picking this Sunday night, I would have said like 4.5. So
That was the open.
Oh, well, then as usual, then I would have been right on Sunday Night Football because that's what it was.
Hey, well, remember you are before we had a bye week on Sunday night, you were going in with a 1-game losing streak.
Yeah, that's fine. Like the Bears coming off a bye, I think the Bears probably win the game, and I will take them and I'll tease them up.
2-9.
No, we're going to tease them all the way up to 10. It's a 7-point tease.
7.
The Bears are going to be publicly backed.
It's
like so funny.
I was just thinking that as well, that I could see myself flipping on this game at some point, and then I'll bet the Lions, and then they'll just get blown out by the Bears. But when you think about like bad weather, it's sort of reminiscent of, and I know that Trey Lance was starting in that game, but that stupid Bears-Niners game from week 1 last year where you just have a ton of rain and it's going to be super low scoring. And the one thing that I've been really impressed by is like, since they got Montez Sweat, they can kind of get to the passer a little bit now. And Detroit's vaunted offensive line has not been as, their defense and their offensive line just have not been as good as they were the first 6 weeks of the season. They've gotten progressively worse. So maybe it all comes back together. And we see this happen sometimes. Teams start out hot, then they go into a lull, and then they pick it back up later on in the season. But I do think that a game where there's going to be high winds and you have the goof outside who has looked pretty bad and making some terrible decisions over the past 3 weeks in the elements where he's not usually as good. And then you have fleet of foot, Justin Fields, who, although he's not accurate, he does have a big arm. He can cut through that wind. That shouldn't be a problem for him. That it does seem, unless the Detroit can really get it going on the ground, which they can do, and just turn the ball over to Montgomery and Gibbs like 45 times and just jam it down their throats, the Bears feel like they have a better quarterback play because he can run, and they still might be able to stretch the field a little bit, where I just don't think the Lions are going to be able to do that.
Their last outdoor game of the season, too.
For the Lions?
The Lions have been walking.
So last chance you get to bet against the Lions outdoors in cold weather.
Well, this is actually an interesting thing. Like, if they lose to the Bears this week, their odds are just going to plummet in terms of like winning the Super Bowl, winning the NFC, because they're already thought of in that tier behind the big 3 teams in the NFC. But everyone kind of agrees they're on their own little island in the middle. If they lose this game to the Bears, people will start to see them as no different than the Packers, Vikings, Bears, Rams, Falcons, Saints, Bucks, whatever it might be. They'll be closer to that tier. And then you might actually get some pretty juicy odds, and all of a sudden they'll be playing indoors the entire time.
Yeah, I mean, their ceiling offense is more exciting than, I guess, those other teams. You're right, Pat. I would say they've been walking that tightrope in a lot of games. I don't think this is the game that they stop walking it. Like you mentioned, like you think they'll get right. Next week they play it Saturday at home versus Denver. Then another game maybe at home versus Minnesota. So you're right. I do see their get right like coming as we hit the playoffs. But I think they're still going to be that sketchy Detroit team this week on the road in the cold. Give me the 3. Tim, we have a triple header next Saturday, which is fun with college being
We
done.
do. We get Saturday after this week. Legally, we can have Saturday games, so we're going to have some triple header and then a double header.
Actually good, but there's 3 of them.
What are they next week?
I know the Lions and Broncos are one of them.
Minnesota, Cincy, Pittsburgh, Indy, Detroit, Denver.
That's not bad. And we get the Chargers on Thursday night.
And they flex Chiefs Patriots out of Monday Night Football.
Chargers are right.
They flexed
Seattle, Philadelphia. I love the Seahawks in that game already. But anyway.
What, next week? No, they flexed to Monday night, right?
Yeah, they flexed a Monday night game. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So round of Bears, coin included. Tampa and Atlanta. Tampa winning this game, just massively throwing a wrench into this division would just be hilarious. The Falcons.
This is the main screen game, right?
I don't know about that.
Can it at least be the subsidiary screen game?
Maybe. Well, I mean, I have to kind of go through the game. Detroit and Bears is actually kind of fun. Colts and Bengals could be kind of fun just because it's two teams that I just don't know what to do with. But yeah, Falcons are favored by 2.5 at home. I mean, the Falcons needed to generate 4 turnovers from the Jets just to beat them. I can't. There's something about, and it probably was the right move. And I assume that you watched a ton of that game, Tim, along with the Dolphins.
Yes.
Yes. When Ritter decided to slide to get to the 2-minute
why not?
warning. I get what, like, you do it against the Jets. You're just like, whatever, the Jets aren't going to move the ball on us. But if your offense has to do that, you don't have a good offense. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but you're out there trying to win, right? You're trying to win, right? Who cares? There's no style points. This is not the college football playoff where they throw you out even if you're undefeated.
I get that,
There's
but
no style points
a first down and you win the game. He slid to run the clock down so they could punt it back to the Jets.
That's the same thing as winning the game. It's the same thing.
But I would say the Chargers did the same thing. I thought they were crazy. And Herbert threw a perfect rope to some dude who caught it. Never heard of him. Erickson again.
Oh, Alex Erickson?
Play the card. Sometimes you have to play the cards, and sometimes you have to play the man.
No, but to the Falcons' loser headspace, I'd have rather like Herbert have taken a knee and killed 40 seconds and punted it deep than try. I mean that. I was happy they made the play, but the way the day was going, like, why are you doing that? Like, take the knee, kill 40 seconds. Yeah, I'm broken like that though.
If you watch the game, you can get a sense of, based on what you're seeing, can this team do anything? And the answer is absolutely no. No chance. If you get beat on that, then you shake them by the hand because you didn't see any opportunity for that the whole game.
Well, I wonder, and we'll talk about the Jets in a little bit, but
do we have to?
Yeah, because I mean, you keep talking about how great this defense is. What are the chances that teams just aren't even really running their full offense against the Jets? Because they're like, we don't need to take any chances. Let's just not turn the ball over.
I don't know. I mean, I can't answer that question. I have no idea.
But I think that's potentially on the table, that they're not getting the A+ games from some of these offenses because they just want to run as vanilla as possible, try to score 10 points, and they know that's good enough.
Maybe.
I would agree if you've watched what the Jets have done at home to opposing offenses and you're game planning your game, don't make a turnover, punt it deep, kick your field goals. You don't need to go for 4th and 1 in field goal range versus the Jets. Like, just keep stacking the field goals. You will not lose. You don't need to match points. Like, it's a very simplistic strategy to employ here.
I'm going to take the Bucks because I have money on the Bucks to win this division, and they can't win this division without winning this game, I don't think. So I will take them plus 2.5.
This game breaks me, Pat. This game breaks me. Okay? It's like double-edged death. Let me explain it. Big money on the Bucks under win total. Like, God, they cannot win 2 more games. I have a game and a half left of life.
Well, they play the Panthers again, although they almost did lose that game, but
yeah, it's a problem. It is a problem. And I have New Orleans to win the division. I don't want to give the game to Atlanta, but the piece, that was just fun. The piece on the Tampa season thing is bigger than a little New Orleans nugget. So I am desperate for Atlanta to win this game because I got no chance if Tampa wins. I'm just dead.
So you're taking Atlanta?
Yeah, please God.
All right. Then Tim, I assume you're taking Atlanta?
Yeah, I expect Mayfield to make the big mistake or 2, and that will be the decisive factor. I like Atlanta to win and cover.
So you think that if we're going to talk about quarterbacks that make mistakes, you know the other guy playing quarterback, right? The one who makes substantially...
I mean, the other guy, the last time they played, made as many mistakes as you could make, and they still won the game.
That is true.
I mean, the last time they matched up, as you can attest, that game should have been about 35-10.
Completely agree.
Now we go into Atlanta, and I haven't seen Tampa play well. I mean, if Mike Evans just decides he can push people down and walk over them,
which he seems to do every week now,
like Allen Iverson, then maybe they'll have a chance because he does seem to do that. But the officiating in the Jets Falcons game was so horrific. I don't know if I've seen a game more poorly called. A lot of the calls did go against the Jets, but not exclusively. There's a couple of calls late that went against the Falcons. Awful.
The end of the Packers Chiefs game was pretty bad. The start
you know-
of Ravens Chargers a week ago.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
the-
at least
the
the
worst-
Packers Chiefs game evened out because the unnecessary roughness against Mahomes was a bad call, and then not calling the pass interference was a bad call. So
No, one was worth 15 yards, the other was worth 50. So
Well,
is that
whatever.
even?
The worst
balanced
officiated game of the year was that Houston and Jacksonville game from like 3 weeks ago. That was just mind-boggling.
Did you enjoy, Jeff, during the Patriots-Chargers game where Gene Steratore was so uninterested in what was going on in your game that he congratulated the officiating crew for changing the pass interference call because the Chargers deflected it? And they were like, no, Gene, they just said that the play is upheld. You're not paying attention? Oh,
Excuse
right.
me.
Yeah. I was
don't
like,
wanna-
you're not even paying attention to the game you're supposed to be covering.
Hold on, though, Tim. This is so inside
His
the
finger
shit.
moved. His
But
finger
there was a
moved from the
clear-
ball. It was
There
clear.
was a goddamn clear fucking camera angle showing the ball hitting his hand, the lineman's hand, negates PI. How they can't? It's so.
I couldn't believe it. I couldn't
It's not
believe
against
it.
me. It's everyone gets it bad. Everyone gets it bad. It's so bad for everyone, and we bet on it, as Pizzola says. But that in like slow motion, perfect replay, you're under a hood. It's a clear as day. It's so upsetting. It's so upsetting. Good luck. I'm happy for the team that gets to win it all, and their fans who get to buy the T-shirts that says they want it all.
Meant to ask you.
for you.
You met up.
I'm
with,
not if it's the Dolphins.
You met up with Rob last week. How was your panzerotti?
Oh, it's delicious.
Was it better than a pizza
It was-
pocket?
Oh, it was delicious. Yeah. Oh my God. That thing's the size of a football. We're sitting there. It's been like 25 minutes. I'm seeing all these other people who ordered long after us getting their food. I'm like, Pizzola, like, what's wrong? You got some pull here. Like, what's going on? He's like, you don't understand. These things are bigger than a football. Like, they take forever to make. It ain't 3 minutes in your microwave, Tim. It was delicious.
I
It was
complimented you on
delicious.
the lunch.
No, all you complimented me on was that my Coke can had sand on it.
Well, that's how you know you're dealing with a place that has fresh ingredients. That they have that they're turning around so much merch that they even have the seasonal Diet or Coke Zero cans. That's how you know you're at a quality place.
Indianapolis
Yeah,
and Cincinnati. Cincinnati is a 1-point dog in this game now after their performance on Monday Night Football. This is, can we just call like -1 and +1 the Colt zone for the rest of the season? Because they just seem to win every coin flip game. Everything just breaks their way at the right time every single week. If they need the opponent to get 2 punts blocked and miss an extra point, well, that's just what's going to happen. And Minshew is going to make some very questionable decisions, and somehow it will all pay off for them. I really like the Colts in this game. I think that, I don't want to say that we got a gift, but I mean, Browning looked all right on Monday night. He looked a lot better than I thought that he was going to look, but there was two, I forget, there was one check down to, I think it was Chase on a bubble screen on the outside, and then another one where he tried to get it to Higgins a little bit, just like I don't know if it was just like a stop and go, or if it was some sort of like out and up, like a wheel route, but like he almost had the Phillip Rivers shot put throw. And the other one, he did like a tomahawk chop throw. Like he's got weird arm angles, Jeff. It intrigues me.
He was money. His composure, like the guy would not die. And time again, you're thinking like they're not going to come back from this. You know, like 96-yard drives. They go down late, give up the turnover. He crushed it. Unfortunately for this guy, Pat, is Burrow's out the season, so he's going to have to play too many games. Like there's going to be too much tape by the time December ends where water will find its level, where he can't. Let's say if this happened in like with 2 weeks left, a week left, like he could be the Matt Flynn of this era. Like that was, just string a few together and get yourself a contract and you're set in the league for life, holding the clipboard or an opportunity elsewhere. I'm with you though. Overtime, full quarters on Monday Night Football. That adds an element to my overtime like short week, overtime, 5 full quarters. This is like Colts. It's an easy one for me. I don't even have to look into the game. I knew it last night.
I was surprised, not so much that they look competent. They look far more competent than I thought
the
they
Colts were in overtime too.
I was going to say, Geoff, both these teams went the distance.
Oh, this is weird. Oh, my brain is frying right now. I love those offset. Now I have to think about the game, maybe, actually.
Well, how about this? How about I try to give you something a bit more tangible? That if you take a look at the Colts rush defense, it's quite bad. But Cincinnati's is even worse. But if you take a look at their pass defenses and their pass rush, the Colts are actually pretty good. They have a very good pass defense, top 10 in the league right now, and they're getting to the quarterback where that's still... I mean, it's not a problem. It's a problem for pass defense-wise overall for the Bengals, but they are starting to get to the passer a little bit more. I've just been thoroughly... I mean, maybe we don't give Zach Taylor enough credit for what he's able to do in some of these situations, but Shane Steichen's been a really good so far this season with the concepts that he's drawn up for basically altering the playbook from Anthony Richardson to Gardner Minshew. You see so many coaches. I mean, this is one of the Jets' problems is that, you know, they had the Aaron Rodgers playbook and it felt like they were still trying to run that playbook with all of these quarterbacks who can't do any of the things that Aaron Rodgers can do. It was very clear that when Gardner Minshew became the starter for the Colts, they amended their playbook to incorporate some things that Gardner Minshew can do that Anthony Richardson, I mean, we're not getting bootlegs from Gardner Minshew, and that's probably something that, you know, if Nate Hackett was the offensive coordinator, they'd still be asking Minshew to do. So I just think they're very well coached, both these teams. I will just take the team with the better defense right now, and that's the Colts, and then, you know, maybe they can continue to live on the edge here. They're a minus 220 favorite right now, Tim, at DraftKings Sportsbook to make the playoffs.
I mean, I could see that. They've got some important AFC wins. It's really nice that the Bengals figured out that something the Jets couldn't figure out, which is that if you have superstar receivers, just keep throwing them the ball.
Just chuck it up.
Just chuck it to Chase on every play. You know, like I won Fantasy League last night because they just gave it to Chase constantly, never stopped giving him the ball. It's nice to see that someone just uses practical common sense and that it works. That being said, there is now too much love for Jake Browning and the Bengals. I'm very excited to hear what Cam has to say about him because he's going to love him. I just know it. I'm going to take the Colts here.
So Colts for all of us except the coin, who are going to try to double down on Cincinnati. It helped me out in our win season pool. Cincinnati picking up another win. I moved into third ahead of you guys.
Yeah, I don't think I got a single win last week.
Yeah,
I had a lot of buys and a lot of losses.
I had the Vikings on bye, but my 3 jabroni teams all came through. The Bucks won, the Rams won, and the Bengals won, who are now one of my jabroni teams because they have Jake Browning at quarterback.
And you can get lapped. I got lapped last week. Yeah, you mentioned those defensive stats for Indy. I love them. Should we be worried about an outdoor game for a dome team?
Listen, I'm worried about Indianapolis. I feel like they're kind of like the minor league version of the Lions, where it does seem like they could potentially lose to absolutely anyone in the league any week, but they just keep winning games.
I'm going to take
the spread's too short. That's all.
So you're going to take Geoff?
I'm taking the Bengals. This game broke me, though.
All right, so Cincy for you then. Okay, so Indy for Tim and I, Cincinnati for the coin, and Geoff. Jacksonville and Cleveland, we're going to get CJ Guilty Beathard, likely at quarterback, although it was announced today from Doug Peterson that Trevi has a high ankle sprain, but would not rule him out for this game, which I thought was surprising. I think we're probably going to... Trevi was supposed to be out with that knee injury earlier in the year, pushed through it, ran a ton in that game against the Saints on a short week on Thursday night. I think we overlook how tough Trevor Lawrence might actually be playing through the pain. But you know, if he can get back in 2 weeks or 3 weeks with this, they're still a contender in the AFC if he comes back healthy. So I'm interested to see what happens there. The Browns don't necessarily need this win because when I was looking through their schedule, they do have 3 very winnable games left that would get them to 10 wins, but picking up one here as a 3-point favorite at home wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. I actually like... I'm going to take the Jags +3 because what do you think what was the line, Geoff, when Lawrence was healthy? Jags by 1 or 2?
Jags, I don't know. It was Jags +1.5. That's what I'm seeing, but that could be wrong. I don't know if I trust this.
Say they're like Lawrence is only worth 1.5 on the spread. That doesn't seem right.
Yeah, it doesn't seem right at all. What's the number now? It's 3.
It's 3. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if this makes any sense.
Would have made sense for it to be the other way. Jags by 3, right?
Yeah. Or even Jags.
Yeah.
Even if you wanted to
Probably
call
worth 6.
even if you wanted to call it Jags, like if it opened like Jags 1.5, just because Cleveland's defense has been so good at home versus the road that hey, it's probably a lower scoring game. Da 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 da. It's all on the Jags D now. The Jags D was supposed to be very good. They had been playing very good until Monday Night Football, and Thong Song Cisco.
Bengals.
Well, go ahead.
Sorry, you go, Cisco.
No, go ahead. You have something to say. Say it.
Well, the Bengals couldn't run on anybody, and they ran all over Jacksonville. And it's going to be this is a Florida team headed to Cleveland in December. You mentioned it could be bad weather. If Cleveland runs the ball, the game is over. I don't care who's at quarterback. Yeah, I mean that.
I just don't like the 3. Like, yeah, the Browns might win by a field goal. Do you see them, unless their defense, I mean, maybe they will turn over Beathard, but that seems actually kind of plausible. But to win by margin for the Browns in a bad weather game where it's not like they're exactly lighting it up on offense. Like Flacco looked good last week. This is a better defense that he's going to face than the Rams defense that have like 2 good players on it. So I think we've seen Beathard be all right in his career as a backup coming in. If you think that the Jags are a good team, Geoff, then they have a backup quarterback coming in for game 1.
True, it's the Jags.
I'm taking the points when the over or under is 30.5, and the other team is starting Joe Flacco. I'll take the Jaguars and the points, please.
So you're taking Cleveland, Geoff?
No, I'm going to agree, Pat. You remind me. That's like my favorite thing. The double overtime matchup like broke me.
What about short week for the Jags? They played on Monday night in overtime.
Oh my God, everything is crossing over. These crossovers, I think, offset everything. Like they don't count.
You're like Kramer. You're at the corner of first and first.
Yeah, no. So they cross out. So I feel like they're just all null and void, and I just have to take the games as they are. I have to take the games as
what
they
a wild
are.
strategy. What a wild way to approach it. I'm just going to cap the game as it is.
NFL's so
Not
hard.
as I've designed it in my
Not
head.
in this NFL. Not in this crazy, stupid league. Where like everything is a zigzag.
Is Denzel Ward going to be back for this game? Do we know that yet? We don't know that yet, or at least all
Kirk
of us on the show.
That's for sure.
What's that?
Imagine Kirk will be out.
Yeah, he has sports hernia, so he's probably out 3 to 6. Parker Washington looked all right. He caught a touchdown in that game.
But in the flukiest way possible.
Yeah, he still caught it.
Yeah, he did, but come on, it should have been picked.
Well, the one thing, and we keep hammering down on this with Cleveland, and why I kind of really like the +3 here, is that I vividly remember, because I won a bunch of money off our friend Gildart in this game. It was a Monday Night Football game. It was Packers and Rodgers at San Francisco the year before. I think they drafted Trey Lance, and they were terrible. And Beathard was playing quarterback. They were like 9.5-point dogs, and we put like $1,000 on the game, and I got the 9.5. He actually gave me an extra point because there's no way that Rodgers going back to where he's from wouldn't cover the spread. The Niners ended up losing in overtime in that game. I just remember maybe it was just Kyle Shanahan propping him up, but Beathard was competent offensively in that game, throwing over the top, and I didn't even think he looked all that bad. He should never run the ball ever again. Just watching him, putting it on the ground, like the first time he tried to run, he almost did it again in overtime when he was rushing for a third down. Just stay in the pocket, throw it away. Don't even think about running, ever, CJ Beathard. But the Browns give up like 2 giant plays every single game. And there are the athleticism on the Jags offense. Like ETN might break 180 yards. Ridley might get behind the defense, make one guy miss. They play so much man coverage that it does just kind of make one man miss and someone's gone. Like if they can get to 10 points, 13 points in this game, it feels pretty safe to cover.
I'm taking the Browns.
Okay, so you changed that one too.
Yeah,
I like
Bengals and Browns, but everything is void on the system.
I write these.
Listen, I could just say I'm taking
10,
cats or something. I could just say I'm taking the cats.
That's an actual system, though.
Or the birds.
Hey,
also an actual system.
Hey, Cam tweeted at me of the NFC West last week. That was the trend.
There's always a trend. The key is you just need to figure out what the trend is. Not everybody's like, it's sort of like how at the start of every Columbo, you know what the crime was. It's just a question of whether Columbo can figure out the pattern to get the person.
I was on the treadmill this weekend at the hotel, and I couldn't figure out how to turn the channels. And they just had an episode of Matlock on that I was watching with closed captioning while I was running.
I liked that show.
I didn't get to see the last 15 minutes of the show. Now, I assume that the guy that Matlock was representing turned out to be not guilty, and Matlock won. But I really need to know what happened now. I got to find it on the internet somewhere.
I'm sure you could go on Wikipedia or something and find out what season and episode
I tried.
that was.
It's season 3, episode 9. There's a blues musician who Matlock really likes, who is accused of murder. And then Matlock bailed him out, and he lived with Matlock.
What an interesting concept.
Yeah. So Matlock never loses, right? Like, isn't that the whole thing on the show?
I don't know if that's true.
Oh, really?
Is he like Goldberg?
Yeah, he's the Goldberg of law. Like,
I'm picturing Matlock with the pyro coming out of the locker room.
Like, did Columbo ever not solve a case?
I don't remember a single Columbo where he didn't solve it.
Maybe there'd be a to be continued, but it always got solved.
Even in the episodes of House MD where the people died, House still figured out what was wrong with them. They just couldn't get it in time.
Yeah, like part of my ignorance, like Tim, like this, like the ultimate procedural, like a Criminal Minds, like they always get the guy.
Yeah, and like every now and then someone would escape, but then he'd come back like 3 seasons later and they'd get him then.
Carolina.
Well, that's what people want to see, right? People don't want to see, bad guys getting away with crimes.
I don't know. The Sopranos and Breaking Bad would probably be the inverse of that, right?
Well, no, because they both got theirs.
In the end, it was the entire show was just based on bad guys doing crimes and people enjoying it.
Yeah, that's true, but that's also, a different audience. And also, like, I think the regular episode of Jag or Criminal Minds probably did more than 97% of all the episodes of those shows.
What about NCIS Sydney?
I have no idea. I still can't bring myself to watch that show. I don't understand who it's marketed to.
Do you think that when you watch the episode that it's upside down on your screen?
Yeah, absolutely. That must be, yeah. It's really clever.
Carolina and New Orleans is 5.5-point favorites. 37.5 is the total in this game. Jameis is probably playing quarterback. They might wheel out Derek Carr in a wheelchair to see if that could work for them because they don't want to play Jameis ever. I'll take the Saints minus 5.5. Carolina stinks.
Pat's taking the Saints. I'm taking the Saints.
Yeah, I am too. The number's too short. I don't understand why.
Have you and Pat disagreed on any game yet?
No. Yeah, Tampa Bay and Atlanta. Coins going Saints too.
Go. Yeah, I just don't. The Panthers are a whole other level of awful, a depressing level of awful.
Dude, they had the 3-1. They threw like deep twice.
Yeah, I don't quite know what they're doing.
There was still time. They only needed a field goal. Like, I don't know.
They're like Flanders' mom. They've tried nothing, and they're all out of ideas.
I hope they win, though. I hope they win, though, because nothing would make me happier than the Patriots having the worst season in the NFL.
Dude,
I'm here to cheer for that.
I don't know what.
The more decisions they have to make, the better, Jeff. You have no idea how happy.
And what if they fire him?
Even better.
No, what do you mean?
Better.
That's the
so your whole
he gets
hold on.
Fired in ignominy.
So your whole thing is that you think that Belichick will screw up the decision no matter who he takes, but if he gets fired, that's even better because then someone else gets to make the decision.
Then his career in the Patriots ends in disgrace.
Yeah,
no!
Being fired after being the worst team in football.
Yeah, man. People
look back
at Belichick's career and be like, "Yeah, what a loser! He only won 6 Super Bowls."
Yeah,
the fuck are you talking about?
you're so backwards here. Every single one of those Massachusetts fellas who were screaming for his head 2 months ago, a month ago, if they actually finish dead last, they will like get on their hands and knees and thank him.
I hope they get
him.
I hope
They
they
will
get what they
thank
want.
him for the gift, and maybe there's a mutual parting of the ways where it almost seems like certain Washington is going like a Belichick or a Harbaugh. Like they are going for someone to bring credibility to the new team or the new ownership. Like for sure. Like they're going for the credibility higher. They seem like the most interested in Belichick. But no one is going to be mocking him out the door. They will be literally throwing roses at his feet if he leaves with 6 Super Bowls and walks out the door with one bad year that results in first overall. That is, there was already supposed to be his own wing in the Hall of Fame. This would maybe be equal to a Super Bowl.
I don't know about that. That's a bit much.
What a deluded thing to say.
No, I mean, like in the moment, to the like. If the Patriots get the first overall pick, Pat, you know, people are going to come at me when sometimes I say crazy things and we don't know how the season unfolds. If the Patriots get the number 1 pick and the Lions lose in the first round, second round of the playoffs, the Patriots had a better year than the Lions. The Lions restored the franchise. They got back to where they were. They're on the right path. But if I had to rank successful seasons, talk to me about the teams that were in the Final Four in the Super Bowl, and then next up, the Patriots. It's like the 5th best year in the league if they leave this thing with the first overall pick with their one bad year in 2.5 millennia.
When does voting open?
Whatever. No.
Tim, we took that straw poll at Geoff's most insane moment. You were still winning.
What Geoff said there certainly should be worthy of some votes.
Really?
No.
You think so?
I hope they have that first pick. It would make me that much happier to see them blow the first pick.
You were
in the draft.
happy when you blew your first pick and lost Trevor Lawrence, and you can still find a way to think that was the thing to do, and you still think it's the right thing for the Patriots
I don't
to get
regret it.
first overall.
The last
It
time
would be funny.
the last time that you got excited on the show, you almost gave yourself a concussion from hitting your head so hard.
Child, row 2. That pizza looks delicious. I want a slice. Instead, I'll take the whole box.
Give that man the $10,000.
I'm Paul Bear. See, I do a good Paul Bear is so much I can do, Pat.
That's not true.
Come on now.
There were not 5 teams, 4 teams who would have had a better year in the long-term goals of winning a title than the Patriots if they actually end this caper with first overall.
Okay, well, that's a take. It's not one I agree with, but it's a take.
Houston and the Jets.
So-
Jets are 5.5-point dogs. 6-point dogs at home now. Fun times for the Jets. Tank Dell is out for the season for the Texans. Dalton Schultz, not sure whether or not he is going to play. I mean, the Jets have made elite quarterbacks look bad in New York, but I don't even know who's going to be starting at quarterback for the Jets. The rumor is that it's going to be Zach Wilson because they cut Tim Boyle today. They signed Cust buddy Brett Rippon, so maybe he'll end up starting. Maybe Simeon will end up starting, although that guy can't hold on to the football. He just drops it out of nowhere. Who do you think is going to start for them?
I think it's going to be Zach Wilson.
Even though he said he doesn't want to?
Well, there's no proof of that. I think if he actually said he didn't want to start, he would have been cut immediately. So I don't actually believe that story. But, it just shows that his job is over. Like to bring Zach back a third time after getting rid of him at the end of last year at that Jacksonville game, and then having to bring him back again, and then bringing him back again, it's over now. Like you have to appreciate if you're Saleh. You're just trying to put stuff on tape for your next job because you know you're not going to stick around. This is going to sound wacky, but I just think his defense, sized up for a rookie, is a great spot. I mean, this is the team that lost to Carolina just a month ago. I think the Jets defense provides a bevy of tricky complications for the Texans. I think everyone in the world is going to take the Texans this week. I would not be shocked in the least if the Jets won this game like 10-7. And I'm going to pick the Jets here. I think it's the way to play the game. That defense against a rookie QB is the way I think I want to go.
I'm with you. I like the Jets +6 in this game too. Geoff?
This is crazy. We all agree, and I've realized I'm on a pattern here this week. I am taking every single nice weather or dome team going outside in the middle of December, early mid-December.
You
this
are
week.
or
That's
are
just
not?
Picking against.
I am. No, I'm picking on the home teams in all of those games. I've noticed I'm on Chicago, I'm on Cincy, I'm on Cleveland. Let's add the Jets. Let's add the Jets. I weirdly agree with a lot of what Tim said. It's going to be the Jets make every home game ugly. This will be hopefully no different than the Chiefs, Eagles, Bills, like all those games.
Falcons,
Chargers,
Dolphins.
I mean, the Dolphins game wasn't particularly close. That was the one game.
Yeah, that game was close for most of the first half and into the second half.
but it's
That game was
stupid.
gonna
Like
be-
it should have gone to
when-
team 10.
when- 13-10 at the half.
when the
10-7.
Jets got down.
Sorry, it's supposed to be 10-7 at the half.
Yeah, well, when the Jets got down by more than double digits to start the second half, the game was over.
Yeah, just saying they played the defense of the offense of the Dolphins, which I've been told is the best offense that people have ever seen in the history of mankind.
Who said that? Who
Pat.
said that? Hello?
Sorry, Jeff, go ahead.
Are you still on the line? Who said that? Is what I'm asking.
Oh, it's these type of exaggerations that people make about the Dolphins.
Who?
The problem-
Hold on, Jeff. Who made that exaggeration?
Just people in general are exaggerating about how good this offense is.
Can you name one?
Oh, just myriad of Dolphins fans.
Can you name one?
I don't
People
want
on
to.
Reddit? Like, what do you mean?
Yeah,
No,
there's
because-
that too.
No, because that's what Tim has concocted. Tim creates little straw men in his head and fights against them. People are saying this, although no one said
people
it.
sending me messages. People sent me messages all day today, just gifs of the number 1 over and over and over again because the Dolphins are in first place in the AFC.
When you say that people did that, one person did that?
I think it was 2 people.
One person
See-
did that?
No, then that encouraged other people to do the same.
Ah,
As
okay.
anyone knows, yes, Tim hates the Patriots. Yes, he hates the Bills. He hates whoever is on top. Whoever is enjoying themselves at the moment is who Tim hates the absolute most. And it's the Dolphins, and he hates it.
Last game of the early slate, Rams at Ravens. Baltimore is a 7-point favorite in this game. This may be my super lock. I love Baltimore. I think they smoke the Rams. Puka's hurt. Kupp is hurt. Tutu's hurt. I don't know how much of an offense is going to be going on for the Rams here. They might score 3 points.
Yeah, so this is this is warm to cold, dome to cold. So that's easy for me.
Ravens off a bye.
Off a bye. But Pat, just quickly, when you bet teams as bad as the Jets with the spread, you have to be so concerned that, like, even if they're down by 3 in the fourth quarter, once they get into that position where they can no longer punt and they have to go for it, they hand the ball back over in field goal range and you like lose by default, if that makes any sense.
It feels that way.
Just felt like saying that, but because I have nothing to add for Ravens Rams other than I'm playing my line all week.
Yeah.
Pat and I will disagree. I think it's slightly too many points to be laying into Stafford. The Rams are playing pretty decently right now. They just ripped apart what people think is the best defense in football.
But by the numbers, this
like
is the
ripped them
best
to
defense in
shreds.
football.
It is, but they lay 7 into them. Gee, that's a lot of points. I think it's
Okay.
too many. I just think it's too many. I'm
The
not
Browns'
sure I can
defense
get
is-
there on that, so I'm going to take the Rams.
But the Browns defense, for as great as it is, like Pat's mentioned almost for like 2 months, that their floor is also really low. Like they have these groove spots, but when they're not rolling, like they're a mess. And they don't seem to be able to fix on the fly, which is weird. Although in that Baltimore game they did. I'll give them credit for that.
Yeah, like when you take a look at the 3 best defenses right now in football. Actually, let's just call it the 4. You have San Francisco at 4, the Jets at 3, Cleveland at 2, and Baltimore at 1. And you can tell who the good teams are because San Francisco is first in offense and Baltimore is fifth in offense. Like, it's just one of these things where the Rams are good as a middling NFC team. What's Lamar's record against the NFC again? Like 29-1 or something? And they beat these teams.
True.
And they beat these teams at margin. Like, they absolutely annihilated the Seahawks.
Yeah.
They annihilated the Lions. And now the Rams are coming in. Like, the Rams are Seahawks-esque. Like, they're as good as them. They're worse than the Lions are. It's just, I don't know. And especially in bad conditions with all the receivers banged up. I know Kyron Williams looked really good, but that's also a situation and a luxury that they have from playing out in front a little bit. They were able to do that last week. They were able to do that against the Cardinals. It's just they're not going to be able to do that against the Rams. And all of the games that, even with Stafford, that we've seen where they've fallen behind early and you know that they have to pass, Stafford just gets annihilated because that offensive line sucks.
I'm here for a 20-17 game.
Okay. I see it more like 27-10, 27-3, something like that. Well, that brings us to the midway point of the show, which means it's time for a miniature version of Cust Corner.
Cust Corner, it's Cust Corner. Cust Corner, it's Cust Corner. He's got the hottest takes with the highest stakes. He should be president of the United States, but it's Cust Corner, it's Cust Corner. Cust Corner.
I don't have an overarching theme this week.
Well, can I ask you something?
Oh, sure. Fuck, please.
Are you excited for the foot-long cookie at Subway?
So I think this is a great idea, and I'm on board with it. I think it looks delicious. I think it's a fun way to play around with it. Cookies certainly haven't been reinvented and rethought through in quite some time, I don't think. I think it's an awesome idea, and I, for one, am on board for a foot-long cookie.
See, it seems strange to me that you would be on board with that because if there's one thing Subway actually does well, it's the cookies, and now they're changing it. You usually really get up in arms when things get changed.
Well, I think it's going to be a one-time or like very short offer.
Isn't this offensive to people who like love the Subway cookie?
No, because I expect it's going to be the Subway cookie, but just multiplied out.
Yeah, but
I mean,
you
if it's
say
bad,
this...
but if it's bad, or if it's like a lot less chocolate chips or something, well, then I'll have something. But in principle, for a short-term thing, I'm not upset about it. I don't think they'll make the type I like the best. I mean, even though Broken Raisin is my favorite cookie at Subway is the macadamia nut. I think that's the one they do best.
I agree.
I don't think they'll make that in foot-long size, but it's an interesting idea. Subway's trying to strum up some business. I think it's an interesting idea.
Okay, well, what'd you have?
It's got to be a shareable though, right?
Do you
I can't
still
imagine
go to
anybody
Subway
eating a foot-long.
lots?
Why does it have to be a shareable? What if I just want to eat it, Tim?
Well, I have no objection to it, but I
Well,
wonder.
don't
if
call it a
they're
shareable
envisioning
if I'm having it by myself. I'm very offended.
It's like a party sub, right? I wonder if they envision it like a party sub.
Yeah, party for one. Me.
Well, and that's fine. I don't judge. Unlike you, I don't judge.
But you are the one who feels judged all the
No,
time.
I don't judge. Well, because you're judging.
I'm not judging. I'm feeling offended that you're calling it a shareable when I don't want to share. I want to eat it all myself.
Then I support that decision.
Okay.
I endorse it.
Why are you using verbiage that is offensive to me?
I wonder what they anticipated for. I'd be curious to see how they advertise it, like on TV. That's all.
This might not even be in Canada.
It also seems
I
strange.
thought it was coming.
It also seems strange to me that the entire, maybe they're changing their marketing strategy, but the entire marketing strategy for Subway is, hey, eat healthy or eat low calorie by coming to Subway. Now here, have this cookie that's 1,500 calories.
Well, I think they're speaking to audiences of all types.
Do you go to Subway lots?
Once a month, probably now. So I don't know if you quantify that as a lot or not. I'm not thrilled with this new menu of theirs. I can't lie to you. I think there's a lot of subs there that just don't interest me. But there's still standards that I like that are there. So,
all right. So what did you have?
You must hate all these new menus because they have like these predetermined sandwich, and you just get your same toppings on every sandwich.
Yeah, I do not change. I do not change the sauce. I don't change the vegetables. I don't change anything.
So you don't want it how like the Subway chef recommends.
No, I want it the way. You know what? I'm the customer. I decide the way it should come. I don't. You want to make a recommendation, that's fine, but I'm not taking it. I'm having my sub the way I like it.
So hit us with the topic.
Yesterday proved to me again how right I am about heated driveways. I'm upset about why DC cans don't have Christmas designs, but Coke and Coke Zero do. I don't understand why I can't get my Wrapped. That annoys me.
You don't use fucking
for everything.
Well, it's not. It's Spotify Wrapped. If you don't use Spotify, it's not going to show you a Wrap because it's for Spotify.
Well, no, okay, fair enough. But
What are
why
you, like,
can't
a
there be
fucking
something
mental or
similar?
something? You don't understand
No,
this?
but why can't there be something similar for the products that I use? Like, why can't?
Why
there
don't you?
be
Why
something
don't
on
you
my
just use?
iPhone?
If this is so important to you, why don't you just use Spotify?
Well, that's not important. I just felt left out when I saw all these people talking about all the various minutes they spent. Like, I'm sure my iPhone knows how many minutes I spent listening to this podcast or what my screen was on. It would be nice if they had the technology to tell me what I
do you
was
think
doing.
your favorites are? What do you think it would tell us?
I don't know. I'd be curious to show me, like, which apps do I use the most, which podcasts do I listen to the most, that kind of stuff.
Doesn't your phone
tell you
like,
that?
gives you
My
a week-
phone
can
tells
give
me
you a
too.
weekly report?
Yeah, my phone tells me
I
this
don't
every
have
week.
those things. Well, I don't.
Yeah,
have
I get this every
Just
week.
turn it
and
on.
sometimes I do not. I ignore it because I do not like. It'd be repulsing. It'd be like to see, like, if you had a bad eating week or something. Like, it just, like, I do not. I was on my screen way too much. Like, I'd be repulsed by this number. Like, show me my screen time the week of a major championship or something, or the week that I am, I don't know, like, God forbid, like flying during football. Like, oh my God, my screen time would be like revolting.
Who was that singer you were listening to who died last week?
What?
Weren't you listening to didn't some band lead singer died and you said you were listening to them the day before?
Yeah, who was that? Oh my goodness, who was that?
So
April
many hits
Wine?
you don't even remember anymore.
No, it wasn't that. It wasn't that, Paul.
Because he died.
It happened last week.
Something the week before, yeah. You got your body count, your kill count so high, can't even keep track. anymore.
No, I can't remember what it was. Oh my goodness.
Paul, you had something to say about Spotify?
Oh, it was more of like a comment that, like, when Tim has these questions about things, he doesn't go on Google and search for them himself. He goes into our group chat and then he's just like, tell me how to find this information that may not exist. But I'm not going to search for it. And then when you give him, like, you send him links, he's like, that's not what I want. Just like, okay, man, like, I tried. Good luck.
Well, it's not what I was looking for.
Well,
You did try.
but, like,
I appreciate that.
But you're not really. You don't really try. I think that's kind of
The
the
fact
part
that
of
you've
it.
brought this up, like, it's important enough to you. Why don't you just get on? Pat said, get on Spotify. Like, let's see you want your numbers. Like,
I
that's how
don't
you get
use it.
What?
I don't use Spotify. We've been through this.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
so
we're
sign
saying
up for
that
it.
you can use Spotify. It's super easy.
Well, okay, I'm sure it is, but I just don't use it. I have Apple.
And then you would get wrapped every single year. Maybe
Oh,
you
it
should-
was the fellow from the Pogues. That's what it was. That's
New
who it
Year's
was, the fellow who
resolution. You
passed.
start,
I just
start
listened to
using
that.
Spotify, and then you'll have
No,
rap
why?
next
I'm
year.
good. Well, yeah, I'd like to
And
have
then you
rap
can
for
be
everything.
involved and not be jealous of everybody else looking through their raps.
Yeah, I did. I felt very left out, I have to say. And I mean, it's very well may be my own fault, but I felt left out.
What were your other topics?
I was proven correct yesterday in a snowstorm of why heated driveways are an essential if you can get them. And I'm very upset about
hold on a second. Like, if you can get them, like, if you can build a custom home and you can afford that expense after the expense in this economy, like, what do you mean if you can get them? Do you know how much it would be to tear up your driveway to lay those things in an already built home?
Tim
Yeah, you're right.
Tim already gave out the advice of just have 8 TVs today.
Oh, yeah.
Well, look, you're right. It's money.
Tim
but
Too Rich coming for you. Tim Too Rich has got a lot of ideas about what you should do with your driveway and how you should remove your snow for a guy without a driveway and doesn't remove his snow.
And, like,
Well,
not
Do
everybody
you have
has
any?
like,
Hold on. Do you have any parenting advice for Geoff and I too?
I do not. Just saying, if you're going to shovel, particularly with heavy, what they call heart attack snow, it's very helpful if your driveway is a heated driveway and it melts a lot of it away.
No, this
If
would
you have a
this
driveway,
would
it's
actually
worth the expense if
this
you
would
can afford it.
yeah, you very clearly didn't shovel any of this snow on the snow that we had
I
come
did
down.
not.
And Paul can attest to this. It would have actually made things worse this time around because there was so much snow. You would be melting the stuff at the bottom, then you'd be trying to shovel water along with the snow, making it even heavier.
Yes, it would be so nice if in the middle of a blizzard, I could turn an app on my phone that controls my house, click 2 buttons, and my driveway would start heating. Like, that would be fantastic. I don't understand. Like, this is crazier than you talking about what SUVs like a normal person should drive or buy.
Yeah, well, Tim's got so flustered with this argument in the past. No one disagreed that having a heated driveway would be awesome. It's just that it's so fucking outrageously expensive that no one has them.
It would be worth the. I mean, it is an extra.
Well, really? Then why don't you fucking?
That.
Oh, really? But then why don't you buy a house and get a fucking heated driveway then? If it's so affordable.
Yeah, I'm doing a little bit of research right now. It looks like it's like close to $30 per square foot. And like, I mean, a standard driveway for people would be like 1,000 square feet, maybe more. So like, you're looking at like 30, you're looking at like 30, 40 grand probably for like a pretty typical driveway.
Yeah, you're right. They're not giving it away. That's right.
No, but Tim, I don't think this is,
that's like
I could be wrong.
8 times the cost of just like a normal driveway.
Tim, I could be wrong here. I don't think it's, like, that's 30 grand. Again, I don't think it's even possible to, like, if you have your existing home, well, it's possible, I'm sure, but the expense of like tearing up your existing to install it and all the back channel wiring is probably 3 times the number Paul said. Like, it's only possible, I honestly think, is if you're building like a home. Like if you're building a custom home from the ground up.
Yeah, we had neighbors who put one in probably 20 years ago for my grandparents' house. They dug up their driveway, and no, it's probably more than that now. Fuck, probably like 25 years ago. And here's the sneaky thing about the heated driveway. Tim thinks that if there's snow on your driveway and you turn on the heated driveway, all of the snow goes away. It doesn't really happen. It's actually more used for ice than snow to get rid of. Like, it's not just going to melt all the snow off your driveway. You're still going to have a bunch of fucking snow, and then it's really wet snow to make it even heavier. Like, a lot of the snow blowers, because the snow was already wet this week, weren't even working because it was just clogging everything up and going through, so you had to shovel it. You want snow to be as dry as possible, basically, to use a snowblower to get rid of it. So it's mainly for ice, and frankly, it didn't work very well to begin with. Now, I don't know if that was a sign of the times, but on top of the cost of what it cost to lay in wire to begin with, Geoff, and then tearing out your old driveway, you still have to heat this fucking thing too, with power that you pay for. And it generates a lot of power.
There's one like on my block, and I marvel at it. Like when that snow was coming down, and
I bet you do. I bet you do.
It's just the concrete like base, and it's smooth as butter. But Pat's right. Like, it's really for the ice, because there'll be like a layer of thin snow that can stay, but it just it melts the ice for sure. Yeah. Oh, what a luxury. It's a great luxury item. If you are building a home, it kind of feels, now this is going to be, kind of feels silly if you are building a home to not do it at this point.
I agree completely.
See,
if you're building a home, I don't understand why.
But if you're building a home, you have like, you're in the 1% anyway who can afford
if you're in
to
for a
build
dime,
a
you're
home.
if you're in for a dime, you're in for a dollar, right?
Really? I mean, I might be building a house soon. I have no intention of putting in a heated driveway.
Yeah,
I think you should.
You might.
I won't. You know why? Because
Exactly,
it never fucking snows around here. What am I going to do for the 4 times a year it snows?
I can't speak to that. I can't speak to that. Then yeah, you do something else. You buy a different toy.
It's not even Christmas yet, and we've already had a 25 centimeter snowfall.
Yeah, we probably won't have another one until the new year.
Yeah,
I mean, it's no different than a snowblower where you only use it 4 or 5 times a year around here. But gee, you're sure, or a generator, which you might only use once a year. But boy, oh boy, you'll be glad if you need it.
Sure, I have a generator because I need to work on days when that happens. I can shovel myself out, and a snowblower is not equivalent to that. You can buy a snowblower for $1,000. It's fine. You can do that, and it's a far less expensive than a floor of $30,000.
Yeah,
Geoff's right though. If you're building a house,
you're right. You're very good at spending other fucking people's money, aren't you?
No, like it depends where you live, and I guess
Geoff's
like,
with me on this.
The neighborhood, but I mean, like, I don't know who just builds custom homes from the ground up. Like, you also have to be somewhere where it snows to make it worth it, and
well, sure,
that's a key element too. And I know it rains way more than it snows for you guys.
Exactly. Like when we get dumped on with snow, but it doesn't snow all that much. At least not enough to necessitate a heated driveway, unless you're Tim, who doesn't even have.
What do you mean you were right? You're victory lapping pizza being good? I don't understand. Like, how many?
I think yesterday was an example of people that forget that when I make that point on a show like this, and they're like, "Oh, he's so crazy." Actually, no, I make very good points.
No one doesn't want a heated driveway. Like
that's not true. Pat just said a few minutes ago he wouldn't have wanted one yesterday.
Yeah, because I don't want to spend fucking $30,000 to put one in, Tim. Again, you're very good at spending my money. How about you spend your fucking money? Buy a place with a driveway and you can do whatever you want.
Do you know
why don't you do that?
Victory lapping heated driveways being a really good thing is a weird, like, why don't we victory lapping our ovens being awesome?
If it came with the house, I wouldn't tell them to uninstall it. But it is not a necessity for where we live to use once a year.
Yeah, like I'd rather have a pool than a heated driveway. I'd rather, even if the heated driveway costs less than an in-ground pool, I'd rather start paying for the pool than a heated driveway.
I disagree on that. I'm on team heated
driveway. I feel
driveway
we've done this
in-ground
before.
Pool.
I feel we've no. What? Heated
if
driveway?
I had to choose between the two, I'm choosing the heated driveway.
That's crazy.
The pool requires so much more cleaning and chemicals and maintenance and work.
Oh yeah, but that's not because you just have a pool person that you pay to do all that stuff. You've already afforded the pool. You might as well be all in. You don't have to do anything. You just hire someone to do it.
I assume people who have in-ground pools do have people look after them for them.
And then you can invite
in-ground pools are very expensive.
You can invite Gladys and the gang from Gentle Aquafit to come and just swim at your
host.
place.
Imagine you getting to host. How much you'd love hosting that?
Yeah, do we an at-home Gentle Aquafit session?
I don't mean to move this along, but Pat, I do want to tell you, based on how Tim talks about like Diet Coke, how much he reveres it, and the symbolism of Coca-Cola and all of it, it must be such an insult to him to see Coke Zero get the Santas and not.
Yes, that's why I brought that up as one of my other things.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to get.
Makes me sad.
Like, that's an insult to the hardcore Diet Coke guys who have wanted a polar bear or Santa on that can forever.
It just, I don't think they mean to hurt feelings. I really don't. And it might be there's an iconism to the can they don't want to play with, whereas I don't know. But like Christmas and Coca-Cola go together like, like anything, like peanut butter and jelly. And the fact that the Coke cans and the Coke Zero cans get Christmas stuff and I don't, it's like, it really does make me sad. I'm like, gee, I wish I could have it too.
It's literally like a parent treating two of their three kids totally different than the third kid.
It is. And like, it's not like I'm the third child. I think I'm certainly in second place at worst in terms of like global sales. Like, why don't I get the polar bear? Why don't I get the Santa Claus? Why don't I get the Christmas decorations? Like, I'm not going to whine about it because like, whatever, there are bigger problems people have in life.
Because you already did just whine about it. So
no, I'm not whining. I'm just saying it does make me sad that they don't have it. But
the can looks naked when you're like at a Christmas party and people have the cans like out and the regulars and the zeros are decorated.
And mine isn't. It feels like I've been left out. Yeah, you're 100% right. Like, it's the little things like that where like the hardcore fan, like that's the service that we would like.
That's like your Monday presser.
You know what? It's exactly like that, actually. I wish I had it.
No, I see that, and I'm like, just because I'm into brand, like I'm a sucker for branding. I know you are. And it sticks out like a sore thumb that they don't really take care of the DCs.
You walk by and you go like, why don't I get this? This is like their big thing. Like Coca-Cola,
I don't use
big thing is like, Christmas time. And the Olympics, when they come around in the summer, that's the other big thing Coke does. Is Coke really going to trick out the CZ cans for the Paris Olympics and the Coke cans for the Olympics and not trick me out? Like, is that really going to happen as well? I think it might. This is setting the tone that I'm not going to get the special treatment that I deserve.
Why do you deserve special treatment?
I want it like everybody else. I want to be treated specially like
Have
the
they
other
ever one time ever given the Diet Coke a specialty treatment?
I think they have in other countries. But it's not.
Hold on. Is there a difference between your average Coca-Cola drinker and your average Diet Coke drinker? Because I have a working theory now that Diet Coke is for fiends. Like, people will fiend Diet Coke because it has 0 calories. They'll drink like 30 of them in the course of a day. Where Coca-Cola on its own seems like more of a very casual thing to drink. Like, people who don't drink soda a ton, they'll be like, hey, give me a Coke. And it's not people sitting down and drinking like 10 of those a day. They might have 1 a day or like 1 a week or something like that. And Coke Zero feels a lot like that as well. Where, I mean, maybe there are some hardcore Coke Zero drinkers, but the hardcores, the true Coke fans, seem to be Diet Coke people. And they just feel that these people are going to buy it either way. They don't need to jazz it up.
I think I agree with all of that.
So you've become a victim of being too loyal to something or being an addict, one of the two.
Well, just I don't understand why they can't give me the same treatment.
They don't need to, because they don't need to. Because you're going
they don't need
you're going to buy it anyway.
But it would be really appreciated.
Well, what are you going to do? Buy more? Is that even possible?
No, but it's like it's.
Then why would I do anything for you?
They know they've got you by the balls.
They got you.
You're gonna buy it regardless. It's like, why would we waste our budgeting? Maybe we can get new customers with our Christmassy.
Yeah, but this was the whole logic. No,
products.
They're not getting new. The people who they're not doing this to buy new customers are not going to purchase the items.
Oh,
like, although to be
highly
fair,
disagree.
Jeff's not a new customer, but Jeff even said he buys a case of Coca-Cola every year just because he wants the Santa Claus.
There you go. Now we can buy Coke Zero to go do that.
But we buy the Coca-Cola because this time of year, my wife likes it's an ingredient for a brisket recipe.
That's true. You can make a nice roast beef in the
we soak it in cola,
pot.
but
Yeah.
I leave some extra. We don't use all of it. So, but yes, this time of year I'm a sucker for it.
I had one more thing, and I'm just going to let you stew on this. We don't need to have a conversation about it. What if there's a lot of lonely people out there? A lot of lonely people who eat by themselves, be it at home, at a restaurant, over the holidays. What if we created
in the car by themselves?
What's that? Yeah, in a car by themselves. Although a lot of people sent you links to buy a tray so you would stop spilling shit all over yourself, but you won't buy one.
Yeah, that's actually very practical.
You'd rather just spill shit all over yourself, which is still mind-boggling considering you're stationary, how you continue to spill stuff all over yourself. But that's a whole different story. What if there was a YouTube channel where I'm having dinner with you? It doesn't even need to be me. It's a computer you can set up, and then I am eating a meal along with you. You can pick the time that's going to take you to eat the meal. If you're someone who has a meal for like 10 minutes, it can be like a 10-minute conversation that we have while you're eating so you don't feel like you're alone.
Is it pre-taped?
Yeah, of course it is.
Well, how do you have a conversation with something that's pre-taped?
Well, it's like watching a podcast, but it's you sitting there eating dinner, like with someone, and you can pick the certain times that you want to do it. And you can have new ones come in about certain topics that you want to have come in, just to make it seem like you're not having dinner by yourself.
This probably already exists, like with AI.
It might. It actually might.
In principle, I'm not opposed to this in principle.
But wouldn't it discourage going out and meeting real people?
There is a crisis of loneliness right now. And, this would be a way to sort of assuage some of the sharper feelings that people have about loneliness, I suppose. So, in principle, I think it seems reasonable.
Yeah, you could do one at... there's probably a way...
I don't feel lonely when I eat by myself at all. I don't need that interaction.
No,
I'm fine.
But some people do. Like, if you were alone on Christmas...
But some don't. Some people would... Yeah, you're right.
That would probably be a different story. So you could have one with like Christmas tree behind you, or if you're alone for Thanksgiving, it's me eating turkey, and there's like a turkey background or Thanksgiving background, something like that. You could have different ones that go through, and this might already exist because I obviously didn't go search for it. It just kind of occurred to me.
I like this idea actually.
It was supposed to be for helping people and try to make them feel.
Yeah, no, I think it does. I think it does for the people for whom they would feel lonely. I think it might actually reach out and help them.
Then you can get celebrities to start doing it. Here's your dinner with George Clooney.
Richard Kern.
Yeah, Richard Kern. Wouldn't be dinner for one anymore.
Talk about somebody who didn't have much of a career after a hit television show.
Hey, he hosted Family Feud for a while.
You know what? That's right. He did host Family Feud. And I bet you he probably did quite well for himself hosting Family Feud.
He took it over from Louis after he killed him.
Yeah, and then he Louis
had long retired from the show.
and he sells an infomercial.
It was
maybe he owns a piece of that racket.
I think it went
the ladder racket.
I think it went Louis, Al Borland, then Peterman was the host, wasn't he? Then it was Steve Harvey.
I thought Steve Harvey took over right away from Richard Kern. I didn't realize that John O'Hurley had been the host.
I thought Peterman was the host for a while.
You could be right. I just don't remember that, but you could be right.
And I think Family Feud today is hosted by the ghost of Richard Dawson. He just comes back and kisses all the ladies. That guy'd be real canceled, wouldn't he?
Most certainly he would be. You could not have, and for good reason, you couldn't have a Richard Dawson anymore. John O'Hurley did indeed host Family Feud between Richard Karn and Steve Harvey. I forgot about Ray Combs. He did it too.
Yeah, Ray Combs was the one after Richard Dawson. He hosted it in late 80s, early 90s.
That is correct. Well, I did not realize that John O'Hurley actually did that.
There we are. Then he was the host.
That'd be a fun show to host.
I would
have a lot of fun with that.
I would agree. I think that might be the most fun game show to host. That or Price is
Right.
Right.
I agree.
Price is Right seems pretty fun.
Price is Right is all about how well you deal with the spontaneous reaction of the contestants.
You would just be going, ah!
Getting excited with them
Yeah.
when they spin it onto the dollar.
Oh, by the way, I don't think we're going to do a Christmas Cust Corner this year.
Why not?
Because we've run out of, it's been 6 years. We've run out of things to talk about. What I proposed,
I've been saying that 3 years ago.
What I proposed to Geoff and Gary, and when I met up with them, is what if we do a New Year's show? We pre-tape a New Year's show that's sort of like big fat quiz of the year, but we recap the year in sports. And then you'll be on a team with maybe in studio with Tambo, and Geoff and Gary can be a team, and Rob and Cam can be a team or something.
I'm perfectly comfortable with that. That should be fun.
Oh, I got a text from Kenny. His Lucy came in. His quitting smoking stuff. Lucy.co, code Mayo. Get yourself a discount if you're looking to quit smoking.
And if that's the case, and we're not going to do a Christmas show, then maybe I should give my definitive rankings right now of the 12 days of Christmas.
Well, as we're 2 hours into the show, I think it's probably best that we move to the late set of games, which is Minnesota at Las Vegas. The spread. Vegas is the 3-point underdog. I thought that was...
I don't understand this.
I understand it. I'm going to take Vegas in this game. It seems
Me too.
Every Vikings game should be a pick'em. Is the way I would go with it. The Vikings may very well win this game, but asking them to win by more than a field goal is a lot. Although
I don't understand it. I like the Raiders should be favored. The Raiders are being teased up here too.
Okay, so you're Coolio featuring LV up to 10.
Yeah, I don't understand the spread. It's way too high to me. For a Raiders team, I think is on par with the Vikings, all things considered.
I think that the Vikings defense is a lot better.
Okay, I do buy that. I agree with you on that.
So Las Vegas for me, Las Vegas for you, Las Vegas for the coin. Geoff, you're a Las Vegas whisperer. What do you got?
I am.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
I think they're bad. Game? I think they're bad, and if they win another game, I lose my alt unders. So
that's not going to happen this week. It'll happen next week against the Chargers on Thursday Night Football.
Oh yes, that is right. So short week for the Raiders.
Look ahead.
Short week. Look ahead. But off their bye, they should be energized.
Minnesota Jefferson's back off of a bye as well. And they haven't announced that I think Dobbs is playing quarterback, but Nick, that would be the ultimate thing to happen this season, by the way. We haven't even talked about this on air, Geoff. But Tim hating Josh Dobbs so much, claiming that Minnesota has no chance of making the playoffs, him getting giddy on last week's show after Dobbs was absolutely terrible. And what could happen is Nick Mullins might come in for the Vikings and lead them to the playoffs. Tim's all-time biggest rival, Nick Mullins.
Yeah, but he would then just victory lap that Josh Dobbs didn't lead them to the playoffs. Like, Tim's deranged like that. I
got to have something up the sleeve to talk about, yeah.
Apparently O'Connell's putrid against the blitz, and Flores loves to blitz.
That's bad. That's bad news.
I'm taking Minnesota here. I really hope it's Dobbs. What we saw from Dobbs from go in Arizona and Minnesota makes me think that, he won't throw the prettiest balls to Jefferson, that he just knows how to get the good players on his team involved. I believe that. So I'm taking
Dobbs will pull a Jake Browning strategy that Tim loved so much earlier on in the show, where it's just like, hey, that guy's really good. Let me just throw to him every time.
But O'Connell does the same thing with Adams. He's been targeting Adams a ton.
Yeah, after like a month of not targeting him.
Yeah, well, he figured it out. You know, someone came over there maybe after they fired Josh McDaniels and said, we have one superstar on this offense. Give him the ball.
I do find it strange that, I mean, again, that's why I'm taking Las Vegas, that the spread is so high. Like, if Minnesota had won on that Monday night game and looked really good, I would have expected 3, but where they look so bad, it was a lot like the Jordan Love thing that we saw earlier on in the season. That, and it's funny because that was against the Raiders in a primetime game, is that after that game, and Love didn't play great after that game, and then it kind of came around, but we all just basically wrote off Jordan Love because we watched him on primetime and he had the shittiest game he ever played. I'm like, well, this guy sucks.
Yeah, but
and the same thing.
But then he got Brandon Staley to wake him up.
I understand that, Jeff. Can you let me finish my point? Yeah, I don't even remember what I was talking about anymore.
Jordan Love.
Yeah, and I said that took a few weeks, but he started playing a lot better. But we all watched the game where he was at his absolute lowest. We just watched the worst game Josh Dobbs is ever probably going to play. That now he's in this tier of like the shittiest guy in the league, but he's somewhere in between that one game where he came back and the game that we saw on Monday night. But the thing that sticks out in our mind is the thing that happened on Monday night. He's better than that overall, but he can still have those games. He can have the peak games and he can have the floor games. But right now we're just thinking that he can only play the floor games. But it's funny that the spread ended up being 3 anyway. Like if he had like played well in that game and won against the Bears, would it be more than 3?
Those are all fair questions. It probably would, because people remember what they saw last in the eyeballs, and there's market influence in that, whether that's deserved or not. Josh Dobbs came in, played a game, getting there with like 3 days after he was there, and he looked competent. And maybe they had a bit of a bubble burst moment on the before the bye. But I think like a bye this late with the situation they are in, both with a quarterback whose familiarity, despite some early success, is practically zero, and getting the superstar back. And I really trust the head coach there. So it's a lot of checks, and maybe I got to lose some of my preconceived notions about the Raiders. Their defense statistically is like so much better than you'd imagine, playing this bend but don't break all the way down the field as their game plan, but it works.
Paul pointed this out to me yesterday when I came into the office for Coach of the Year. Now, we hit a nice Brian Daboll 16-1 towards the end of last year. Like Dan Campbell is currently the favorite in the Coach of the Year market. I don't think he's winning Coach of the Year. I think it's probably going to be Shane Steichen or Kevin O'Connell. It might be D'Amico Ryans. D'Amico if the Texans make the playoffs, but I don't know.
What about Sean Payton?
I don't
they get there.
I still don't think so. Like it will all depend on, like, even Matt LaFleur is 20-1 right now. Did he do a good enough job of turning around the Packers? They lose Rodgers. They go through this midseason lull. Like, all these teams have reasonable shots at making the playoffs. And yeah, Detroit has their best record since, the Kennedy administration, but they're not great by any. They were supposed to be good coming in the year. We don't see Coach of the Year winners go 11-6. And their team was projected to go 11-6. Like, that's not usually.
Why can't it be Matt LaFleur?
That's
after what LaFleur
he just
done with the
I
Packers.
just mentioned that.
I just said him.
Sometimes I do listen.
I was not listening.
Okay, Pat. So you're absolutely right. I don't know who will get it, because it does seem like it would be even more deserving for the other guys, including Sean Payton. I have never seen in my life. This is to piggyback on your Dan Campbell takes, and I had this as a preseason take that was far less controversial than my DeMar Hamlin preseason take, which will probably be wrong. I can admit that, even though I disagree, it'll probably be wrong. We're going to move on. For me to say, Coach of the Year has never been like a totality achievement award. It's Coach of the Year. Fixing the Lions over a 3-year period. We fucking love you, Dan Campbell. Like, you are the man, the restore the roar. Like, we love it. As football fans, we're all here for it. You don't get like it's not a 3-year window award of an accomplishment. So I agree, the Dan Campbell Coach of the Year stuff when by all accounts you have the best coordinator in football, is deserving. As much as I love Dan Campbell. I love how balls they are. They go for all the fourth downs. You know, I love it, but I don't believe he's deserving of Coach of the Year versus Steichen, D'Amico, and even if Sean Payton rolls off a few down the stretch.
Oh, I don't know. The way you were talking earlier, why don't they give it to Bill Belichick? He's putting on the best coaching performance of any team this year, basically, unless they win the Super Bowl.
The way that
Thank you for saying
hold on,
that.
just stop with this. So this is what I wanted to talk about. The Vikings are currently plus 120 to make the playoffs. The Packers are minus 230 to make the playoffs. I think you'd just be better off betting Coach of the Year odds for LaFleur and O'Connell rather than those two bets both at 20-1 and taking your chances.
LaFleur's not gonna. I don't think LaFleur is going to be able, despite what's being accomplished and deserving, maybe. I don't think he's going to win the voters. What's in front of LaFleur is a big wall. It's a Dan Campbell propaganda love fest because everyone kicked him down when they hired him, that they have to build him back up again and give him this award. And it is these two rookie head coaches in the AFC. Like, I agree with your LaFleur sentiment. I just think the roadblocks are so hard, even if he makes the playoffs. People want to jerk Campbell off. It's like to a level of silliness.
I don't understand this Campbell antipathy. I remember last year I picked him to be Coach of the Year, and you scorned it without taking a breath. And now you're doing it again.
And then they lost the next week to Carolina by 30.
I don't understand why you continue to take strips off of this.
Last year I bashed it for the same reason I'm bashing it right now. Because Daboll was like 25 and Campbell was 2, and I'm like, this is so stupid. Congratulations to everyone involved with your ETR subscriptions. You got Campbell 30-1 in the summer, but we're not in the summer anymore. And the only thing pushing this Campbell agenda last Christmas was all those boys with their 30-1 tickets.
Yeah, last year was the year for Dan Campbell to win it. Just the Lions didn't make the playoffs, and that basically, if you don't make the playoffs, it disqualifies you from winning the award, is essentially what we've seen over time. And what we've seen over time is the team that's supposed to be good and is good, that coach doesn't win. It's the team that is surprisingly good that wasn't supposed to be good with the coach. That's the team that wins.
Exactly. And we've never given Coach of the Year for like a 3-year program build. We've never done it.
Yeah. And I don't want to
do it now.
And I don't want to say that Dan Campbell is undeserving of the award. If he was Coach of the Year, it would make a lot of sense. But him being the betting favorite right now, like if I was to list the market, I would have D'Amico Ryans as the betting favorite or Shane Steichen.
Agreed.
Like
probably D'Amico.
Yeah, a team that was like both teams were supposed to be shit. I mean, the Colts lost their quarterback. And they're still doing this. Like that's the Kevin O'Connell case. Like they lost Cousins fucking a month and a half ago, and they still might make the playoffs.
Dan Campbell's about to take the Lions to their first divisional championship in like 35 years.
Over a 3-year. They were supposed to make the playoffs this year.
Yeah, like they're going to hit their.
They're not just making the playoffs. They're going to win their division.
They're going to be a half game off their win total in either direction.
Yeah, but you also have to remember it's the Lions.
Okay, and the Houston Texans, whether it's the pools I was in or ones that I observed, very common to do those team drafts and you drop it at 30 teams because for the even number's sake, them in Arizona went undrafted across the board.
Correct.
So like, I know I'm not trying to, like, it's not like the Vegas point spread. It's like the college football thing. It's not like a committee. Well, I guess it is voted on, but I mean, I don't know. And this is going to turn into people thinking I don't like Dan Campbell. I don't think Dan Campbell's a great coach. He's a great coach. I love Dan Campbell. But Pat nailed it. Last year was the year for him to crush the expectation and win the award. This year, he's meeting expectations.
And with D'Amico Ryans, I don't think that D'Amico Ryans will win, even if the Texans make the playoffs, because Stroud will win Offensive Rookie of the Year. They tend to spread these things out. They don't try to lump them all together. It's who do you want to give credit to on that team? Is it the coach or is it the quarterback? And I'm pretty sure that Stroud's going to win Offensive Rookie of the Year unless something disastrous happens. So he wins that.
He doesn't have to take another snap. I don't even know that who could get it.
Hookah? Oh, Bryce Young. Bryce Young coming back. Win out.
Yeah, if there were like a terrible injury, yeah, Puka or Gibbs could probably steal.
I think we've already seen too much.
Yeah,
It's kind of week 14. I don't think he can get beaten.
I kind of
This
agree.
would be like Shohei getting hurt with like a month left in MLB, and it's just like it doesn't matter. He's winning MVP.
It doesn't matter.
Put it this way.
Who's now going to the Blue Jays? I heard.
Don't you open your mouth.
I don't. It's not going to happen.
Oh, open your mouth.
It's not going to happen. He's never going to the Blue Jays. It's a done deal that he's going to be a Dodger. Like, I'm laying down a marker right here. He's going to the Dodgers. He will not be a Toronto Blue Jay. Please.
I don't know how this is possible. I don't know how the Jays are here, but they're here. And I haven't gotten excited until you said what you said. It's the first time where I haven't allowed myself to be excited for one moment.
Despite having read fully sourced stories to the contrary?
Do you know, Tim, if you had to guess the offensive rookie of the year market as it stands currently, what do you think that the betting odds are?
I would imagine Stroud's like a minus 15,000 favorite.
He is a minus 20,000 favorite.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's
Totally
over.
makes sense.
That's over.
I would think so, unless he pretty much would have to get hurt this week.
Even if he did, Paul?
You would have to find like something bad in his past.
Yeah.
Something that like gets him canceled
Fair
basically, and then nobody votes for him. Like that's the only way he loses at this point. You'd have to be
I'm
like
kinda with you.
racist or something.
I know that the rest of the odds don't matter because there's only one winner of it, but I was really surprised to see A-Chain at 150 to 1. He already has 7 touchdowns. If
Yeah,
Miami
but he missed like half the season.
still.
Well, that's fine.
Like no one
There's some
else
better. The receivers have
So
been,
valuable to their team that they had him in there in garbage time last week, getting
like
carries.
Addison's been great without Jeff.
Addison's been okay. Puka had a great start, then Kupp came back, and Stafford was out for a while.
Receivers are more valuable than running backs.
Yeah, but they're not. I don't think
Gibbs look great when they give him the ball.
In rookie of the year, you're right. It's a little different, but
yeah, Gibbs and Bijan are. But like, if somehow like where the Dolphins score so many touchdowns, like A-Chain, like I think Mostert has 16 touchdowns or something ridiculous like that. Like if A-Chain ended up with 16 touchdowns in 8 games or something, not that he's going to win, but it just seems like he's so far. He's behind fucking Keaton Mitchell. Most people don't know who that is.
Yeah, but you know how many, like, Pat, to win the award, you also have to, this is going to be a disrespectful to A-Chain, but in the sense that you have to feel like you are responsible for these things. And with the Dolphins, people would give credit to like 7 more people for A-Chain's 8 touchdowns.
Sure.
Stretch.
Like the best thing that you could hope for right now in your Hamlin doesn't win comeback player of the year market
he's gonna win.
is if Tyreek doesn't win offensive player of the year, then you have one of 2 options. Mike McDaniel wins coach of the year or Tua wins comeback player of the year. Because they're going to give the Dolphins something if they finish as the 1 seed. If they don't finish as the 1 seed, then I don't think it matters.
Imagine not giving the Dolphins an award. How impoverished our lives would
I'm just
be
saying that if
the
they end
Dolphins were
up, Tim,
given
shut the fuck
something.
up. I'm talking
Like,
about
oh my
that if
God,
they get the
what a
1
ridiculous
seed,
thing to
that
say.
this is how it's going to end up turning out. When you have an offensive season like that with a guy who might have 2,000 yards, if for whatever reason he doesn't win, they'll look to give him to something.
Yeah, sure. We'd be so.
He'll probably maybe should win it. There'll probably be a lot of people that hold alleged, I'll say the third time, alleged child abuse allegations in his past, but he is an MVP level player. Maybe he is the MVP. I don't know, but Hamlin's going to win the award. Even though Tua did go to commercial, we thought he was dead. He wasn't actually dead on that field in Cincinnati.
Yeah, it was around Halloween. He was just throwing up Thriller hands because he's a big Michael Jackson fan.
Rodgers will have to take a snap. Apparently, Rodgers like totally crushed the Jets today on McAfee.
He did.
Did you enjoy that, Tim?
He's the conscience of the team in a lot of ways. If what he can say whatever he wants, I don't care. Let him say what he wants. It's as long as he's there.
You sound like an abuse victim, by the way.
I'm just prepared for it. When you bring him in like the way they did and basically turn things over to him, you're just willing to just put up with whatever as long as he's there. It's fine. Whatever.
Seattle and San Francisco. The spread is 10.5. It doesn't feel like it's enough. Do you think that I know Seattle's coming off the long week after playing Dallas on Thursday, and they did cover that game. They almost won that game, but they're kind of down in the dumps right now. Is anyone taking the Seahawks in this game in San Francisco?
I think I have to. I think I have to for a couple of reasons. First, San Francisco looked too good last week. That maybe there'll be a little bit of backwards momentum. Secondly, Seattle looked like they got their mojo back last week, and Geno played phenomenally on Thursday night against a good Cowboys team. So that's encouraging. Let's go for like a 30-20 type of game. Let's just get our cover slightly. I think, yeah, I'll take Seattle. I don't love it. I'll take Seattle. I'm
going to take the Niners, Jeff. I think maybe they end up getting like a DK 80-yard touchdown at the end of the game to backdoor cover, but these two teams just aren't even close to equal. We just saw this game, and it wasn't close, and it was in Seattle.
Yeah, it's not close. The Niners, when healthy, are certified the best. Their record isn't the best, but when they're healthy and rolling, their ceiling to me is higher than anyone's ceiling. They're in ceiling mode, it feels like. At the moment, I'd lay any number.
This late slate of games is excellent. I feel bad for your Broncos and Chargers here, even though that's not a terrible game either, Jeff.
What happened?
No, just it's...
Oh, because I'm...
Yeah, just the other games that are going on here. You got Buffalo and Kansas City, which I assume is the CBS game of the week, America's game of the week? No, that's Fox.
Yes, I would imagine Romo and Nance will be in Buffalo.
Yeah.
Or in Kansas City, sorry.
So Kansas City is a 2.5-point favorite at home. I believe that's what the spread is. Yeah, 2.5. 47 is the over-under. I like the Bills.
I do too. I told Paul, and I think I said this on the show last week, that there isn't a more perfect circumstance for the Bills season to be on the line for. You get the full bye against a Chiefs team who's had to play a couple of really tough games. Buffalo should win this game. I would actually kind of be surprised if they didn't. I like Buffalo here. We're teasing the Bills up. This is Custer's. This is the last stand. This is Buffalo's last. If they lose this game, the bottom will fall out of the team. Everything hinges on this game. And so I'm going to take them.
Who you got, Jeff?
When you see it, it's like I am Scrooge and I can see my life in someone else. Now, apologies, I might not know that story. That wasn't like a mythical holiday thing in this Jewish household, but I think I got the story right. He goes up and he can watch life from up above, and you have a different perspective.
Close enough.
This is my life. Paul and my lives are very similar in many ways. Bills lose this game by like 2 points.
So you're taking the Bills to cover?
I'm not, because at that point I have to take the Chiefs. But this is it's just going to be a heartbreaking Bills. In the same way people can cap a Charger game and be like, they'll charge it, or not even no fault of their own. Although, like, to the Bills, it will always be, the Chargers will do something to screw up. The Bills won't even embarrass themselves. They'll just get got. The Chiefs off another loss in prime time. I don't know. I'm sorry, but I'd love for the Bills to win. I'm not anti-Bill. The Mafia who's watched this show knows it. Feel weird. I don't have to defend what I'm picking. I'm picking the Chiefs.
Yeah, if you picked against the Bills every week, I think you'd be doing pretty well, ETS. But I have a feeling the Bills are going to win this week. Then they're going to win at home against the Cowboys. Then they'll find some way to fuck up the Chargers or Patriots game. Like, that's classic Bills.
Like, the Chargers are totally out of it, playing for absolutely zero. And the Bills are, like, on this steamroll after beating the Cowboys and the Chiefs.
Yeah. Like, they'll be 7.5-point favorites in LA, and they'll just lose the game outright. And that sounds like both the Bills and the Chargers right there. Because the Chargers will somehow be in the mix for like the fourth overall pick. Then they'll win this game and it'll drop them to ninth or something.
Geez, the Chiefs got so many injuries on Sunday night, though, like key ones that Josh Allen could probably take advantage of. Take advantage.
Yeah, if the defense is truly down a little bit, I have no problem with like the Bills' offense lighting them up. Can the Bills' offense or defense stop bleeding so many points? And this does kind of seem like the right opponent because the Chiefs just can't get on the same page offensively.
It's the perfect storm for Buffalo.
Next game, your team, Denver at the Chargers. Boy. What's the line here? We got 2.5. Chargers are favored by. I'll take the Broncos. Give me Denver tap.
Go
I want to take the Chargers. I can't. I've seen too much of the Chargers this season and seen them underperform too often. I can't. Denver had to get it's a disappointing. Denver had that game won last week, and just a bad throw by Russell cost them the game.
It was 3 bad throws by Russell that cost him the game.
Well, okay,
every time that he was asked to throw a non-screen, he essentially threw an interception.
That's fair.
They only throw a blood dump, or they like close their eyes and throw an absolute prayer. But the intermediate jump shot, they do not have, and maybe they're smart enough to know we can never throw that, so we don't throw it, period.
Yeah, they're like the anti-DeMar DeRozan. No long twos for the Denver Broncos. It's either deep threes or dunks. That's it.
Oh, yeah, that's a great, that exactly. They're like NBA analytics. Perfect, right? It just dunks or deep threes.
Mm-hmm.
No mid-range jumpers. That's dumb as shit. We throw a lot of mid-range jumpers.
Of
like,
course you do.
They're perfect. They're perfect mid-range jumpers. And they go right off the numbers or right off the hands and hit the carpet for nothing.
Or the passes get deflected at the line of scrimmage despite your quarterback being 6'6".
Did that happen on Sunday? I don't think that happened. Did that? Maybe it did. But yeah, that's really my main flaw. Because other than that, all the other narratives are made up. Brandon Staley is like your buddy. He is like your buddy, Pat, who you guys are out, you're having drinks, and all of a sudden you end up in the same bar as Fat Walk. Okay? And these ladies are horned up and ready to go.
Wait, what did say it again? What is Fat Walk?
Maybe I'll send Paul a picture.
Okay. I
So,
have a computer in front of me. Is it like walk like Manchu walk? Or is it like walk like
God damn it. It's really nasty. It's blurred out on my phone. I don't know what my settings might be set to. Nonetheless.
You're going to send it to Paul so we can put it on our screen that we don't blur it, then we get demonetized?
What? Put it in the group chat right now so I know whether I should even put this.
No, I can't even get it. I can't get it. I gotta get it sent to me.
What sketchy sites are you looking for?
This is all terrible.
He doesn't know. There's not an easy way to transfer things from his Rumble group chats over to our group chat.
No, I'm not gonna get this.
So there's a bachelorette party. The ladies are all horned up. What's going on now? Everybody's doing what?
Okay, yeah, we'll call it a bachelorette party, but it is like literally just like it is. Okay, do you know the movie Road Trip? Obviously, the classic Tom Green. Like the best movie.
I like that you call that.
Everyone's seen that.
I like that you call Road Trip a Tom Green joint. It's not a Breckenmeyer joint.
Breckenmeyer and the director, who's the best? Todd Phillips. Yeah. See, okay.
Amy Smart. By the way, Amy Smart, super babe. Just want to throw that out there.
Super babe.
Big fan of Amy
and
Smart.
The nerdy guy ends up at the frat party.
DJ Squalls.
And he brings it home, and he walks down the stairs the next day peacocking. And he's like, I had sex with a girl. That's Brandon Staley after like his defense looking good at the Patriots. So it took me like 4 minutes, and the worst thing, and then I teed it up analogy. Yeah. So like he's peacocking, or you should see this guy talking after bringing home a slump buster, bragging to his boys. Should have left them in Boston with the win. I don't think either team in the game last week ran a play in the red zone. We dropped like 4 passes, would have put us in the red zone, but those don't count. They do not count. We did not run a play from the red zone. Full disclosure, I wanted Denver to beat Houston so bad. Why? Because a sicko like Tim would understand this.
Oh yeah.
You guys know, I really might have one enemy. It's Denver. I've not enjoyed what they've done. I've had to swallow my pride and humbly give them their props for fixing their program quickly, culturally. But I wanted them to win last week so I could prevent them from making the playoffs. Because that's like all my season is left now. All my season is left is playing Denver twice and stopping them. That's it. That's all I have. I'm a loser.
So you're taking the Broncos?
No, I'll take the Chargers.
Okay.
So was that guy's name Fat Walk or Fat Hawk?
It's probably best we just leave it be. Leave it to the
Can
people's
I just show you something? And don't worry, no one can get in trouble. But when I look up what I'm trying to look up, this is all I get. All the pictures are just blurred. I don't know if you could see that, but no picture comes through. They're all just blurred images because okay. I don't know how to change my settings. I don't have children's settings. Why do I have children's settings?
Okay. Philadelphia and Dallas. Sunday Night Football. It's going to be fun. I like the Eagles plus 3.5 now. Now that we're getting the hook, give me the hook. Cowboys riding a bit too high right now, Tim. Time for the Eagles to bring him back to earth.
I guess. I'm concerned the Cowboys might eat them for lunch. I think the Eagles are in a tough spot here.
What evidence do we...
I felt like
hold on. You rail, and justifiably so, because it hasn't proven to be not true yet, that the Dolphins just beat the crap out of really crappy teams every single week. Dallas does the exact same thing.
That's really a play against Philadelphia, if I'm being honest with you. They got crushed last week. They're in a stretch of really tough games where they got beaten physically, even though they pulled it out against Buffalo. Like, they took a bunch of shots. They had this game. They have that game. They have Seattle next week. Like, they're in some tough games here. And I just don't know if they're going to hold up in that crucible. I kind of think Dallas is going to get them and take advantage of the circumstances. I like the Cowboys in this game.
This would be
I don't love the hook. I don't love the hook, but I'm going to go with Dallas. I don't love it, though.
This would be a big win here for Dallas, Geoff, for their narrative that maybe this is the year that maybe someone else can beat San Francisco and then they could go to the Super Bowl. But until they beat someone with some pedigree, I'm just going to pick against them every time.
Does feel like if it's the moment, like it's now, the Dak MVP stuff, he's going to have to look as good as Purdy looked, right? Versus the same team at home. I'm with you. The hook's got me. I'm enthralled with this game. You guys know how I love to overbet like a 5-star island game, TV game, standalone game. So I really hope I have a good day because I want to overbet the shit out of this great nightcap. I'm taking the Eagles plus 3.5. I think Bills and Chiefs and Eagles, I think these are both field goal games. We're going to have a great day. I'll be stuck watching the Chargers. You guys are going to have a great day.
I said it when I laid it out on the show when I took San Francisco last week. I think the best thing that could happen to Philadelphia was getting smoked by San Francisco. And I think it's the best thing that's going to happen to us for betting on Philadelphia the rest of the season. I think getting hit in the mouth is exactly what they needed.
Maybe. I think they're going to get hit in the mouth a couple more times here.
They might. Because their defense does not look good whatsoever. We don't know if
Dallas and Seattle should score a lot of points on them the next couple of weeks, I think.
Why do you think Seattle's going to score a bunch of points?
Just watch Seattle score a bunch of points against a better Dallas defense.
Is the Dallas defense a little bit better, or is that every time that they play a reasonably good offense, they give up a ton of points? And when they play shitty teams, they just run a train over them.
I mean, that's a fair response. I don't see it that way, but that's a fair response.
Like, Bland has, 6 touchdowns this year?
I do think Dallas' defense is demonstrably better than Philadelphia.
I would agree with you. I think I don't know if it's demonstrably better, but I think it's far more opportunistic. It reminds me like a better version of some of those Chiefs defenses from 5 years ago, or even 10 years ago at that point, where They're not good, but they will seize every opportunity to bring it back the other way on you. Philly's defenses in the McNabb era were very similar to that as well. Like, they got to the passer well. They just created a lot of mistakes on the other end, on the other side, but they could get got on any night because they weren't overall that good. Like, the back end of this Dallas defense has a ton of picks, and you just see it, but you can get behind them pretty easily if you have a good team. And that's why I worry about Dallas in this game is just Smith and Brown just might be behind the defense the entire time.
Oh, it's possible. And like they beat them already this season. It's totally an opportunity to do so. I just look at the game and I don't know. I'm playing off of my gut that the hook is bait, and I'm not going to take that bait. I'm going to take Dallas irrespective.
Yeah, it's. I mean, the best offense that they've held down this year is the Commanders' offense. What is Geoff doing?
Is going. I don't know. He's going through something. I can't help it.
Did you get like the settings turned off on your Google and you looked at it?
Look at him.
So,
look at him.
We can't put that on TV.
Let me see what this is now.
No, you can't put it on YouTube.
You can't put that on fucking show. Are you nuts?
You can't put that on the show. You can't put that on the show, Geoff.
Is
Jeff,
this like
you're muted? Jeff, you're muted.
You're muted, Geoff.
This what?
Sending it to you.
Is
Why
this
do you send it from the show?
where did you find this? Is this some sort of like porn you guys passed around when you were 8 years old?
Thank God I'm producing this show, because this show we would literally not have a show anymore. The YouTube channel would get shut down if we put that up.
I would never. That was for personal.
I like that you brought this up like we would all know what you were talking about.
No.
The tagline of this fucking thing is "Watch out as they strut their stuff," and they got a lot of it.
Maybe Jeff can post it on his own X account.
Yeah, you can put this one up on Twitter.
Because people are going to be asking questions about this, and I'm not posting it.
I never sent it to you to post it. I just sent it for the joke, but then it finally just made me laugh so hard.
Oh, Geoff.
Oh God,
Geoff, into some. Listen, whatever your personal preferences, Geoff.
Oh no. That's not that.
So Philly for Geoff and I, Dallas for the coin, and Tim. That was Sunday Night Football. Why are there 2 Monday night games?
I asked this question last week or 2 weeks ago. Why is there a doubleheader in week 14?
What's going on?
Like, whose idea was this?
Tennessee and Miami is the first one. The Dolphins are now 13-point favorites at home against the Titans. I'm going to take the Titans. I think that...
I'll take the Dolphins. I don't know, man. Whatever.
Why do you sound so bummed out to make a fucking pick on the game?
Hate to pick that. Whatever, though.
You got real fucking
Dolphins
problems.
destroy bet. No, I do, and it's this team. It's a problem.
Coin likes Tennessee as well. I think that...
They strut their stuff, and there's a lot of it.
Well,
it concerns me.
I do think that they get up by a ton in this game, but like Levis has looked really terrible. But as soon as Miami stops attacking the passer and kind of puts their JV defense in, Levis is just going to throw 80-yard bombs to Hopkins down the field, and they'll score like 14 quick points to get within the 13. Geoff is still.
I hope not to watch much of this game. I hope to watch more of the other game.
Oh yeah, nothing like watching the New York Giants on Monday Night Football.
Well, I mean, Geoff is still.
Jeff's still looking at Fat Cock.
Yeah, he's having a quick fat walk beat over there. No. Not his first, by the way.
I'm thinking about the Dolphins.
Fat walking all over the Titans.
Yeah, Pat, like you mentioned, they'll like put out the JV team and they'll be fine. Titans will be in play. They'll lose by 11, 12, whatever. Could be like last week. Like they could be down so much that the 2 touchdowns don't even put a dent into it. I feel like I've laid these numbers with the Dolphins almost every time they asked. The only time they didn't come through was the Raider game where they outyarded them by 500, it felt like. So I'll do it again. Dolphins.
Yeah, I just like the Tennessee angle of I do think that even when you watch, like, Levis is pretty terrible, but he throws an immaculate deep ball.
Are you okay now, Tim?
Cust is
I'm laughing at Geoff.
Cust is having a fat walk beat over there, too.
I'm laughing at Geoff.
It's all in the flaps. See, that should have been the tagline.
Yeah. Oh, God. Geoff is struggling to keep up together.
Well, we are 2.5. We are 2.5 hours in here. Green Bay and the Giants is the last game on the slate. The Giants are a touchdown or 7-point dog at home to Jordan Love. Brother Love! And the Green Bay Packers kind of want to take the Giants because I feel like the Packers' love have gone a bit far. Like 7 on the road is a lot, even against the terrible Giants, isn't it? But is Jair Alexander ever coming back, Geoff, for the Packers? Or did he
I hope so.
Did he die 3 weeks ago and just they didn't tell us about it? They just rule him out for every game?
They should be getting one of Stokes or Alexander should be returning this week. So they are getting an upgrade on defense.
Because in the interim, their defense has been really good. They are getting to the passer now. Rashawn Gary has just somehow gone up a level starting from like week 7 on.
I have a strong opinion here.
Giants.
You're joking, right?
I don't know. I'm asking what your strong opinion is. The coin likes the Packers.
No.
I'm taking the Giants, by the way.
I love the Packers. I love them. This team is so much better than I think they're even getting credit for being. There's talent all over this roster. Now the quarterback is finally meeting up with it. It's such a young and enthusiastic roster as well. It's one of the youngest teams going. I like them. I like them. This is not enough points. The Giants are horrible. They've been put on a pedestal because they've been matched up against other revolting teams.
Have they been put up on a pedestal? I mean, the Packers have. The Packers.
No, the spread. I feel like the spread is short.
Do you really think it's short? Because the Packers are the same size favorites as the Ravens are at home.
Yeah, but against a really bad Giants team. I don't know. I'm going to take the Packers down to a pick. They're the last part of the tease. And I'm going to lean with Green Bay, too, in terms of the full number. I just think they're starting to hit their stride a little bit.
So yeah, they have been.
Their receivers have really turned it on here.
Yeah, but Chris, I'm pretty
Dobbs
sure.
and Watson.
Pretty sure Watson.
Lazard, I thought was going to be devastating for them.
Pretty sure Watson's not playing.
Well, still, Dobbs has played great. And
really? Why don't you reel me off some Dobbs stat lines, please?
I mean, he seems to score just about every week.
No, he didn't score last week. What are you talking about? No, but they got Jalen Reed. They got this guy.
Yeah, that too. I like Jalen Reed.
They got Jaden Reed.
Tight end.
You guys are very well versed in the Packers, it seems. The guys who aren't playing, they're fucking great.
Who did I say is good that isn't playing? Who did I say is good that isn't playing?
Just don't worry about us.
Is Reed hurt?
No, but it's Jaden Reed.
Okay,
Jaden Reed, not Jalen Reed.
What? Oh, okay, sorry. No, I really the Giants have won 2 straight games. If they win 2 straight games and go on bye,
yeah.
Well, they certainly went on bye last week. It's Love versus Tavito.
Dude,
I think
people
that's
like
as square as it is.
Okay. No, and I agree with Pat. There is no actual Giants love, but there's this square like Tommy Cutlets, man. Tommy Cutlets.
Well, what sort of fucking New York City sports radio are you listening to? Where that's the only plausible place on earth anyone is saying that.
Dude,
you want to get the Jersey Turnpike FM?
Dude, the spread is 6. The spread is 6. The Giants are
the spread
like
is 7.
Okay, the spread is 7 for one thing.
Even more, even better.
It's all about Tommy Cutlets, though.
Oh, you know what? Make it my super lock alt line 9.5.
All right, give it an alt line to him.
Alt line 9.5. The Giants, I think, are 30th or 31st EPA in this league. They've beaten Washington and the Patriots. We should be laying more points here. I am now. I am. I've openly done it for no gain other than to show you they're going to shit kick these guys.
So they're 30th in EPA? Is that what you said?
Pardon?
Did you say
that
that
the Giants
aren't
they?
I don't know. Do you know what EPA means?
Yeah, it's adjusted yards per play.
You think that the E stands for adjusted?
What? What are we doing here?
Expected points added. EPA.
Where am I? Why am I here? Geoff's doing an Admiral James Stockdale impersonation right now.
He got on the fat walk and he never got off.
What happened?
It completely derailed him. Well, he doesn't even know where he is. Well, he's staring off the space.
Is this even connected?
What?
We can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you talking.
You just look completely out of it.
I don't know. My speakers.
So, okay, you two in the coin have Green Bay. I have the Giants at +7.
Geoff has it as an alt line, though. So please note that.
We're not doing that. So to recap the picks, the Omaha Steaks premium picks of the week. Code Mayo at omahasteaks.com will get you an additional $30 off your order, and that's after the 50% off sale at omahasteaks.com site-wide. Right now, order probably in the next 7 days if you want to get it by Christmas. It's not just like order some Omaha Steaks and it's delivered 3 hours later. It's not on Uber Eats. You got to go to omahasteaks.com. All right? Code Mayo while you're there. So my Omaha Steaks premium pick of the week is not an outline, but I am taking, it came down between the Ravens and the Colts. I will take the Ravens -7 at home against the Rams as my super lock this week. And Geoff, you are taking Packers -7 on the road against Jersey Joey or whatever his name is. What happened to your mic now? We could hear you the entire time. I don't know what you just pressed. No, we can't hear you.
Now you're muted again.
You're muted.
But no, you were actually perfect before.
You were perfect before. You just started
that...
fucking around with it. Okay, Tim, who are you taking?
I feel like I feel like Cam here. I have several picks I like.
gotta make them all.
I know. Like, I really like Chicago. I really like the Raiders. I really like the Colts. I am gonna take the Colts -1.
Indy -1. Yeah, I said that was my came down to that for me as well. Although that worked out for me last week because I was going to take Jacksonville until you took them, and then I ended up on Detroit instead. So maybe
things went horribly wrong.
Maybe it almost went horribly wrong for Detroit too.
That's true.
In Green Bay -7 for Geoff. To recap your 7-point tease, free money teaser. Chicago +10, Vegas +10, Buffalo +9.5, Green Bay pick'em.
Yep, that's right.
All right. That was a fun show. That was more football-y than I think we've done in like 5 years.
Yeah, it was very football-y.
Until we got taken for a fat walk, everything was very much on the rails.
That completely did not see that coming.
Okay, Pat, do you know
about fat walk? I do now.
The fun that the meme team would have with that.
No. That's for when Pat has to go like full subscription based.
Okay. Yeah. when you
when Sirius gives him a $500 million contract.
We'll tap into Jeff's Rumble following.
Yeah, well, you can subscribe to the Pat Mayo Experience on OnlyFans if you want this sort of content.
Rumble was. I feel like they were in the news for something big.
I'm sure
I bet you it was super positive, if I had to guess.
I know.
Yeah, I bet you they were doing a lot of charity work.
I don't know. It's tough, man. You gotta like X is just the place. Like all the other platforms really do suck. So
Yeah, well, it's funny you bring that up because I was saving this for a Cust Corner topic, but
save it then.
no, well, I'll throw it out here now, and I'll give you guys because I threw out the eating one, and maybe you guys can add to that later. I have a few more. I've been writing some things down here, but once again, there's another company trying to make a new social media community app for sports. It doesn't fucking work. It's no different than all of the places in history that have tried out a fantasy sports or betting game that is like the stock market. It just fucking folds because no one wants to fucking play it ever. It's like, do you really want to be on a social media app with just Chargers fans? Like that's fucking Reddit with all the depressed losers.
Yeah, no, I'm not even, and people like might think this is like a crock of shit. I'm not even in like Chargers Twitter. I don't even exist. I don't like it. I don't like it. I like being told how dumb I am from non-Chargers fans.
Is Threads still a thing? Like, remember when everyone was going there?
Everyone's on blue. Everyone's on Blue Sky now.
Blue Sky.
What's that?
No, it's Blueski. I think
It's also.
it's Blueski.
Is it?
Well, listen, the whole thing comes down to like I went in on Threads the other day just because I was on Instagram and I actually because it shows up on your Instagram like someone just posted on Threads and I thought it was like a new hot pick of someone so I clicked on it but it just brought me over to Threads. Like, look, I know that X isn't always the place for the most reasonable takes in the world, but I find, and maybe I'm completely off base with this, but the people that have moved to Blue Sky and Threads and using that as their primary source of social media, it's just a left-wing version of Truth Social. Like it's just the worst possible echo chamber of the other side that you want to hear, and I just don't want to hear it. Like, oh, X is too insensitive for me. I need to move over here. It's like, no one wanted to fucking hear from me anyway, man. Like, you're the worst.
I agree. Before
Exactly.
you leave us, can Tim just talk about Ohtani one more time?
I mean, I'll say what I said before. There's a 0% chance he's going to be a Toronto Blue Jay. It's not happening. He's going to go to the Dodgers. That's how this ends. It's always ended. He is not going to be Roger Clemens strapping on Blue Jays gear and winning back-to-back Cy Youngs. That's not a thing that's going to happen.
We were having a discussion, Geoff, Gary, and I, when we were having a few beers over the weekend, that what did we say was the best advantage Toronto had in free agency in sports? Was it baseball that we said it was? Or was it basketball?
Yeah, it was baseball. It was baseball because there's
more international players.
Yeah, it's the best players are usually international players, be it South American or from Asia, what have you. They're obviously great American players, but those players, like, you have no idea what their thoughts are. There's just a chance Canada could be a place that they've heard nicer things about than America as kids. Who knows? I don't know why Shohei would want to come to the Blue Jays. I don't know how a guy who's never won could trust the Blue Jays with getting him to be a winner, but I don't know. Right now, I don't want to say I'm consumed with it, but it's got my full attention.
Would you agree with that, Tim? Not that Toronto has really been a great spot for free agents over the years, but I would think that in baseball and with the influx of international talent in basketball, that there's not like a stigma of being in Toronto versus some American city where if Toronto had an NFL team, legitimately no one would ever sign here. Where if you have a league with like 99% American players. And listen, hockey players don't want to fucking play in Canada either. They know.
Well, it's different. They don't like it for different reasons. They're not like afraid. They're afraid of it for different reasons than the American kid who doesn't want to come here to play basketball.
True.
Yeah, no, I wish I had more to add to that. I actually would agree with that by and large. But if I was a superstar like Ohtani and I'm trying to win championships, you can't trust the infrastructure of MLSE to figure things out.
MLSE
for the
doesn't.
Raptors, and you can't figure it out. Yeah, for the Raptors,
wrong team.
No, but you can't. If you're a superstar in basketball, you can't trust.
Oh,
I was about to say you can't trust MLSE when it comes to the Raptors or Maple Leafs.
I mean,
if you're a young star, go there, and you can't trust Rodgers.
Okay, listen, I would normally agree with you, but the Raptors did just win the NBA championship
by having a rent-a-player, not a long-term star who was going to stay.
They were able to win
the.
They were able to win the championship. So you can't really point to that.
Perfectly. Stars aligned perfectly. Where the best player on the court in the finals didn't play, And, a lot of things had to break right for them, and they did. But, just because you drew to an inside straight once doesn't mean it's usually going to happen.
Jays had some pretty good years not even that long ago. Like, they didn't win the championship. Only one team wins the championship.
Yeah,
But they,
the
like,
Jays have
multiple
made the
years in a row of
playoffs.
making the playoffs. Like, it's not that bad.
Yeah,
of a
sure. You should
franchise.
trust. Yeah, you should trust
Hold
them.
on.
then.
All right,
They shouldn't be
in the
trusted.
past,
They shouldn't be
in the
trusted.
past 40 years, who has more championships, the Jays or the Dodgers?
I think it's equal.
Equal. I think 2 each, right?
Did the Dodgers
Yeah,
win in
88,
84?
2020.
88.
89 with Kirk
88,
Gibson, and they won a couple. They
88
won
and
the
2020.
COVID.
So they have the
World
same
Series.
amount. Like, I wouldn't just be pointing to the Dodgers as being like this beacon of winning championships.
Plus,
No,
he
but
was-
they
No.
win consistently. Like
he's
consistent.
just in LA though. Like he's kind of sick of the LA scene. I don't know. I don't think it's
know.
outlandish to think that he comes here.
I don't think playing in Anaheim is quite the same as being in LA.
Dude, I hope he knows we don't got a beach. Like,
What?
although they only play here and they don't even come here in winter, so that stuff.
Well, that was Garion's whole point. That why baseball has the biggest advantage, because baseball players aren't here during the winter; they're only here during the nice months.
And the Jays play in a dome. So
When you travel, when you're on a road team that comes to Toronto for a 3-day weekend series, and you get to go out in downtown Toronto 2 nights of the thing in the summertime, I'm telling you, there's not 5 better cities in MLB. Like, they go to a lot of like Milwaukee for a weekend. They're not having, like it is a nice, they can have a nice experience, but I'm shocked to think that he could trust Rodgers to win for him. Like, that's a lot of, he would be putting so much faith into Rodgers to pull something off that even like, guys like me and Gary, and like, we love this team, watch it all. We invest way too much in the summer. Like, we don't even trust them that much. So if he does, good for him, good for us, I guess, if it's possible.
Do we think that Tim, British websites, is the Telegram a real one, or is that like a phony one?
Yep. Yeah, no, it's real.
So they are saying that the John Rahm deal, there's no concrete agreement between Rahm and LIV, but multiple sources tell the Telegraph that they expect the Spaniard to join on a 450 million pound deal. What's that, like 600
So that's 600 million.
It's like
isn't
600 million bucks. Yeah.
I mean, I'd take the bag too. Not going to lie to you.
I believe it.
Yeah.
I believe it. And like I said, that will open the floodgates. Once he goes, then there's nothing to prevent other than like 2 or 3 guys.
As long as Rahm,
It's the
Rahm
worst
just-
thing. It's the end of the PGA Tour. Long term.
Rahm has to just be very honest, because he was very much one of these legacy matters. He has to they made an offer. He has to godfather this thing, like an offer I couldn't refuse.
That is,
That's it.
who is going to refuse $600 million?
That's what I mean.
So he basically got the second
Like, he
most money
doesn't need to
besides
dance
Phil.
around.
But when it comes to legacy with all of this stuff, like, how many more American Expresses does he really need to win? I mean, we just saw Brooks do it. Brooks went to LIV. His legacy remains intact because he went out and he won another major. Rahm's in all of the majors. He's just done that. As long as he continues to be competitive at majors and wins majors, no one's going to fucking care.
Are you gonna really keep
100%.
and this is good for LIV too. How long are you going to keep John Rahm out of the Ryder Cup now?
I mean, nothing is good for LIV. They're not concerned about being good.
And this is good. We got to find out how good Taylor Gooch is.
It's true. Did we find that out?
But
When
he's
he,
pretty good.
didn't we find that out when he played in majors last year?
And Pat, you're 100% right. The legacy is the majors, but Rahm was the type who like stood on that podium of, I want to like win the Memorial, like that sort of shtick.
Well, he did.
He is. No, I know, but like,
He won,
you win the
he won,
Memorial
but he won.
X
He
amount
won,
of times.
he won whatever he needed to win. Now he's going to go do this and go get the bag, and he's still getting to play all the majors anyway. It's the only thing that, especially because these guys have left the PGA Tour. The PGA Tour means less on a regular basis. That really the only thing that matters at this point are the 4 majors.
I agree. I totally agree. Rahm had to go. I just mean he could literally. I just don't want him to dance around it and make it seem like Live Chicago has precedent. Like, he's just got to own it, and he should have. Like, an offer he couldn't refuse. No one in their right mind.
Just act
I'd
like
go to
DJ.
Mars. I'd go to Mars. He'd go to Mars for that deal. So congratulations, John Rahm. You earned it. I guess. Right?
Yeah, I mean he had the year he needed to have to go get the bag. So when they were offering
Why do
him,
I feel like this is bigger than Brooks?
It's not that big. Like it
It's
doesn't
gigantic.
it doesn't matter. That's the whole thing, that people are blowing out of proportion. It doesn't actually matter. There's only like,
What do you mean it doesn't
Because
matter?
I saw someone write about it, and I completely agree. There's like 4 guys ever in golf who actually matter. That the rest of the pieces just come and go.
Okay, but one of them is now in live, and that's Phil.
I mean, Phil wasn't one of those.
Phil's
people.
one of the 4 guys. Yes,
He's
sure
not.
he was.
No,
he's
Tiger-
the second biggest star in golf.
That's
Probably
great.
the second
But-
biggest star in the last 25 years.
That's great. You can be the second biggest whatever. When one guy matters, that's the guy who matters.
Okay, but you just said there's 4 guys.
Yeah.
And Phil's one of them.
No, he's not. It's him, Nicholas, Palmer. And there was someone else around that era as well. Like Tiger's
Gary
the
Player.
Yeah, maybe there was only 3, but Tiger's the only guy who matters in the Tiger area. From 1995 on, Tiger is the only player who's mattered.
Sure.
And, he's
Tiger
and
playing
he
on
is
the
the only player who matters today.
Tiger playing on the Champions Tour will get better TV than anything the PGA does. It'll get better TV numbers than anything LIV does. And Tiger will one day be a Champions Tour golfer. I will bet anyone anything on it.
I believe that.
I'm not saying he's going to play a full schedule, but he will tee it up 3-4 times a year on the Champions Tour. And those events will outdraw any PGA event. I don't care if it's the Rocket Mortgage or the goddamn Memorial. He's the most valuable thing. I don't know what they do, but they've milked him for almost all he's worth now, and now they're going to try to milk him again.
Yeah, but like I don't think Rahm's not doing ratings.
I don't run home to watch. You're right. There's no one who's like, oh my God, like bets aside, I have to get home now. That guy is teeing off on Sunday like Tiger.
Yeah,
like I don't run home to watch Rory in the final group. I don't run home to watch Rahm in the final group.
Yeah, and the thing is, I think that these guys are appointment TV. I like watching them, but I watch every golf tournament. I watch the Sanderson Farms, so I'm not the audience for this.
Yeah, neither am I. When I say I don't run home, it's usually because I'm already home watching it.
Yeah. All right.
More than ever, Pat, golf is just for the guy. You watch the last 6 holes on Sunday.
So you know what that means? It's the same as it ever was.
You're right. We're full. We just did a big circle to come back to the parking spot Pat told me 6 minutes ago.
Yeah, like all this doom and gloom shit that I see doesn't make a difference. It's going to be exactly the same. When you have to go fill out your DraftKings lineup, you will. When you want to go bet on golf, you will. Yep. And that'll be the end.
And guess what?
Nothing will change.
People can't wait to watch, that we're stuck at home in the Northeast. We'll still be watching the shots from Hawaii with mid-level golfers. Yeah. Mid-level pros. We'll enjoy it.
Of course. And the majors will continue to have more value, as we found last year. That incorporating
I hope they let LIV in the President's Cup.
I mean, I would, if they are actually going to do this joint deal, which I don't know whatever happened to, I'd be pumped to see like a February PGA versus LIV competition or something like that. I think that would be a ton of fun. Like if it's going to exist and it's not going to go anywhere, then you have to figure out a way to embrace it and make it part of the game.
Yeah. What you mean is like the PGA has to legitimize LIV.
Yeah.
Because to do that, the deal in and of itself, in a partnership, legitimizes LIV in a way that even if the PGA backed out of the partnership, LIV has almost already been legitimized in the sense because you were willing to walk down the aisle almost with them. If they actually held an event and shared their TV sponsor, it would be like a full legitimization of it. And I bet you there's still too many crows in the room who want no part of that.
Who do you think is going to be on Rahm's LIV team, Tim? You're pretty tuned in with LIV.
I don't know. That's a good question. I wonder if in the first year they won't just throw him on the high flyers with Phil and then give him another year to sort of build a team. Because we're getting sort of late in the season, we're in to build a team.
He's going to just get on a team with, I guess, I don't know. Maybe Sergio sells him a team. Maybe they give him his own team. I don't know.
Whoever John Rahm's team is, people would like to probably purchase that team and sponsor that team.
No, they won't. That's the whole thing. Like, LIV is never going to make a cent, is the whole funny part around this. It's just there to suck the life out of the PGA Tour until they can merge and they can start making money through the PGA Tour. Like the fact I did read that too. It's like, yeah, John Rahm will be given like X amount of ownership of this team. Like,
yeah,
these teams are worth fucking negative money. The fuck is going to buy one of these
or something?
To
that
who?
Was the whole theory.
Yeah, it's a theory that is incorrect.
Has been, but
I want to say there
Wouldn't
was a
it be
day
cool to
last,
own a live team?
Then you could probably buy one right now if you wanted to. Take your fucking heated driveway money and go buy a fucking live team.
I enjoyed last week when Tiger pretty much like put a dart into Monahan. That was good.
I mean, that's the reason that Rahm is going. Like, Monahan fucked this up so badly that I'm shocked Rory didn't go too.
But Rahm could still get the money. Other guys can't.
Rory could.
If Rory were to leave, Rory would just go to the Euro Tour, I would think.
No,
they don't
he'd
have any
take
fucking
600
money.
and he'd take 500 million euro too, buddy.
Yeah,
He probably would. But if I were he, I would just probably go to the Euro Tour anyway.
But the Euro
He
Tour
did
is
announce that he's moving out of Florida as his home base and moving back to England.
Makes sense.
Do you think that he'll keep
I think
his
we're going to get to the point where we're going to have
primary
three
residency
sort of
in
equivalent
Florida
leagues.
for tax purposes? Because I would.
I think we're going to have three relatively equivalent tours.
No, the
in
DP World Tour is
PGA.
the DP World Tour is the fucking like below the corn ferry tour at this point.
I think the idea of bringing them in, though, in part of the pact is to build all three up. And I think we're going to see all three sort of float around the same.
I'm not kidding. Bets aside, like my holy trinity is just any golf tournament that has Hovland, Fleetwood, and Oberg. That's just what entertains me now.
So you don't care to see Tiger ever again?
Well, that's like like above that. Like, yeah, Tiger, I'll take all the Tiger till he's done. But yeah, I like a tournament's legitimate if Oberg is in it.
So the hero wasn't because he wasn't there?
Correct.
Tiger looked jacked, by the way.
Jacked.
Get that
His face
man.
looks like he
Get
looks
that man.
like Ken Griffey from The Simpsons.
He's hooked on nerve tonic?
Yeah, something, man. I mean,
Well, whatever it takes to get Tiger back out on that course, I am for it. Maybe he won't be playing in the Olympics this time. Anyway, that will do it on the Pat Mayo Experience. Want to thank Paul. Want to thank you all for joining us for the first 3-hour show in weeks. I'm surprised Tim hasn't complained yet. Geoff and Tim Cust.
Tim Cust.
That's not my name. Well, it has been a while, so I feel like every now and then it's okay to go for 3 hours. Let's just not make it a habit.
Well, we didn't have the Sunday show this week, so we had to get the extra Tim
We
in
didn't.
our lives.
We didn't, and I missed watching football the way we do on Sundays. I'm very excited to come back to
And
so don't you know how spoiled you are to have a friend like Pat?
extremely.
ATV setup, and you're just like, oh,
Extremely.
not everyone has that. I'm blessed to have my buddy.
No, but everyone should have it. I recommend it highly. If you haven't got it, go get it.
Well, you don't have it.
No, I don't, but at least I'm invited to be able to watch it.
What
and that
would
is
you
a
do?
blessing.
Like a dude in your neighborhood has it. You know, like send him pies and gifts to invite you over. Like
No,
what are you
but
supposed
just
Gus
like,
would try to
I
steal
don't
his
know.
pie, and then just like leave it outdoors or something like that, so no one could.
I
have
just
it.
think if you can find a way to get it that type of setup, I encourage it.
It's called Buffalo Wild Wing to most people, I think.
Well, fair enough.
Yeah, we used to go to the Dogs Bullocks for years, and watch a lot of games there. I'll just put it that way. Anyway, thank you all for watching. Playing the DraftKings Listeners League. Go to runthesims.com. Use code Mayo to get the prop sniper package to get in on it. The best bet, T. Higgins under 3.5 receptions. Got there, looked a bit dicey, and then the game went to overtime, and he still only had 2. Then he got 3, and I was like, but it ended up coming through. So that's always nice when the top play ends up hitting. So go check that out again at runthesims.com. Smash the like, sub to the channel, and rate and review the audio podcast. And turn on those auto downloads, all right? Especially if you are on Apple Podcasts. You might not get a Wrapped from Spotify, but you can help us out by setting on those Apple Podcasts for auto downloads because the new update turned those off for a lot of people. So help us out there, all right? I'm Pat Mayo. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.
Pat Mayo Experience! Experience!